This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately.
What's going on? Oh, you got the echo? Okay. Oh yeah, it turned off again. God, how about now? Or do it again. Can you hear it?
This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's so crazy how the, you know... It used to actually save the settings, and it does most of the time. But sometimes when you reboot in OBS, it switches it back, these settings. I don't know what's going on with that. So, anyways, it sucks to have to check something that's so simple, like that would always be automatic before. Whatever changes you make in OBS, it just stays there. It doesn't change, but for some reason it's changing on some shows and sometimes not. So anyways, there you go, it's working now. Yeah, so I went back, I was looking through those Ohio cold cases. They have so many there, it's almost kind of weird. I mean, there's 215 pages with like 10, they have thousands, it seems like. Anyways, the you know, there's ones that you don't even really look at because there's no picture or anything, so you're just scrolling around. But I just thought I'd look at a few, and I was kind of amazed. One of them has almost nothing at all on the website. Are you guys done with the... I'll wait a few more minutes for the hellos. Maybe 3. My God, that's unreal. Hello, hello, and welcome to the show. There is no time to say goodbye. Man. All right, 1, 2, 3. Hello, everybody, and that's a blanket hello from everybody to everybody else. And that's it. Nobody has to say hi to a damn thing. Yeah, Ohio is a strange thing. You wonder, though, if other states would have a similar number if they'd put them all down in a database. All right, everybody. So, everybody, I am just now giving you... right now, I'm doing like Kim Jong... No, I think it was... Yeah, Kim Jong-il did, where he'd ring a bell and everybody had to stop clapping. Okay, so that's the same thing with the hellos, all right? Everybody, right now, ding, 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 the hellos are for everybody saying hello to everybody. Don't you feel like you've got a lot of warmth and love inside because of that? Yes, it's for you, Cairo. As I just said, the hellos are for everybody to everybody. All right, awesome. Excellent. It looked like a slot machine in there. Hey, hello this, hello that, hello. I mean, you know what the mathematically, how long it would take for everybody to say hello to everybody, and then that person to say hello back to everybody who said hello to them. Oh my Lord. I think that would be something like 40,000 comments.
Gosh, Gray, you're so mean. I mean, if people want to say hi, they can say hi.
Well, I didn't say they couldn't say hi. Right. Let's see. Right, that's why that's the Kim Jong-il philosophy, Cairo. If you're the first one to stop saying hi after the bell dings, people will still look at you and go, wait, why were you so quick to stop saying hi? Does that mean that you really didn't want to say hi? Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, LM. As in Element Open. That's right, and that is the... Let's see. Yeah, what was the thing I was thinking about today? I can't remember. There's these little things that always bug me that are like these accepted things in the world. But I can't remember what it was. Should have wrote it down. All right, it looks like the hellos have stopped down. All right, cool. Here we go. I know it's tough, really difficult. And it's not Easter over here yet, but, you know, happy Easter when that's in 2 days from now. Yeah. All right. All right, so I'm going to start off with one, somebody named Sheila Banks, right? And what's weird about the Sheila Banks one is that I wonder if middle monitor's better. Yeah. No, like kind of like. I think that one's better. So if we look at Sheila Banks here, look what they have on the website. First of all, they spell Sheila wrong. It's Shelia they have, S-H-E-L-I-A. It's S-H. I couldn't find her at first. In the newspapers, except because they spelled it Sheila, but it's S-H-E-I-L-A, you know, like Sheila. I just took a guess that that's what they meant, and then I found something. And look at the great coverage they have here. Listen to this. Incident location, Ohio. Incident date, 1/14/1972. Homicide date, 1/14/1972. Gender, female. Law enforcement agency, Daytona Police Department. Anyone with additional information... That's it, man. I mean, I'm surprised I even looked it up. Okay? I'm surprised I was like, let me just check it out. So when you open it up, it's actually interesting. All right? So here we go. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Okay? They didn't even... And so now I know that they didn't really do a great job there. That's why the case we covered the other day was actually solved back then, but it was still there, like somebody just didn't know or something. Mother and child found dead. A 22-year-old mother and one of her 3 young children were found dead this morning in their small white frame home at 804 Tyson Avenue in Residence Park. And hold on, let me open up Google Earth. I think I rebooted earlier. I updated the graphics driver. And thank you up there again, LM. They're starting off a new month right now. We just got to keep on trucking. to support my channel and the charities that we cover each month. All right, so let's see. We got the Google Earth is over here for some reason. It's on a different monitor. Let me open up the correct date and Sheila Banks, and this is where she lived, right here. I turned off all the other pins. I think that was actually slowing my computer down. There was so many open. It's still a little bit shaky, but so this is the house right here. Hey, thanks, One Sly Angel. New month. See, look at this thing. That's the house. It's still there. Or it was in 2015. I wouldn't be shocked. Let's see if they've torn that sucker down. No.
New month.
And that's November of 20, and it's still sitting there. That house is just condemned. I mean, that thing is. But this is where it was all those years ago. Thank you, Miss Marple. Alright, so here we go. That's the house. She was identified as Miss Sheila Banks, who neighbors said was separated from her husband. Well, that's kind of, makes you a little bit, wonder a little bit at that point. Separated from her husband. So anyways, it says, a 22-year-old mother and one of her 3 young children were found dead this morning in their small white frame home at 804 Tyson Avenue. She was identified as Mrs. Sheila Banks, whose neighbors said was separated from her husband. The dead child was tentatively identified as Ronnie. 2 other preschool-age boys, Teddy and Carl, were at the home when the police arrived at 10:30 a.m. today. It's weird. I wonder if they were able to talk to them about who they saw. Sources at the scene said the woman may have been raped and then killed. Dayton homicide detectives were measuring and photographing footprints in the snow leading away from the home. A screen on a window of a back porch appeared to have been forced open. The coroner's office also was investigating. Next-door neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Robert Stanley of 800 Tyson Avenue, described Mrs. Banks as very pretty and said she was a quiet, sweet person and a good mother who looked after her children. Neighbors said the dead woman's divorce from her husband's Theodore Banks would have been final on January 26th, which is only 12 days later. See, that's another one of those weird, that's not good. Friends said Mrs. Banks said Banks had been attending college and working part-time at an ice cream store. They said the children usually were in a nursery school when she worked or went to school. A Spitz dog, kind of looks like a Pomeranian, a little longer hair, at the Banks home kept up an almost continuous barking after the bodies were discovered this morning. Mrs. Stanley said police had visited the Banks home Thursday to investigate what she thought was a theft. Let's see, Miss Stanley, that's the neighbor, right? Let me see where that is. 800. I bet it's just right next door. Blue's freaking out. Oops. Okay, so that house isn't there anymore. Used to be right there. Let's see what it looked like. 1985. See, there you go. There's a home there in 85. Actually, that's 94. Yeah, it's still there in 2005. And then it's gone. Now it's still there, I guess. 2000. There, now it's not there. 2014, it's just dirt. 12, 11, maybe that's still there. So, but anyways, that house was there, and I'm surprised they haven't torn down the home that Mrs. Banks was in. It's god awful. So this neighbor is the one that was over there. Let me read that part again at the end. Mrs. Stanley said police had visited the Banks home Thursday to investigate what she thought was a theft or burglary. She said she understood a tape recorder had been taken. So man, just like the, let's see, this is Friday, so it was just the day before a tape recorder was stolen. That's interesting. Alright, and here in Ohio, Sheila Banks, 22, and her 1-year-old son Ronald are found dead in their bed. So it was in a bed. In Dayton, police say they were murdered, but refused to give details because they have a hot suspect. This is 1972, by the way, January 15th. Suspect arrested in double slaying. A 24-year-old man was arrested yesterday for questioning in the slayings of a 22-year-old mother and her 21-month-old son last Friday. Lawrence Jackson, let's see where this is, 4133 Camer Avenue. Yeah, it's not very far away. Lawrence Jackson. He was arrested just after noon at a residence in the Crown Point area, according to Sergeant E.H. Melson, head of the homicide squad. Lieutenant R.J. Schulte, or however you pronounce that, head of the Investigative Services Bureau, declined to reveal any further details of the arrest or investigation. Jackson is to be questioned about the deaths of Mrs. Sheila Grigsby Banks and her son Ronald Eugene Banks, who were found in their bed in their home at 804 Tyson Avenue. Mrs. Banks had been stabbed to death. She also had been raped. The boy had died of suffocation after his face had been pushed into the mattress of the bed where he and his mother slept, according to the Montgomery County Coroner's Office. The two other sons apparently slept through the double slayings, which reportedly occurred between midnight Thursday and 7 a.m. Friday. Police discovered the bodies after a woman who picked up the children for a nursery school reported she got no answer when she blew the car's horn to let them know she was out front. Man, that's just brutal. Good thing that he didn't wake up the other kids didn't wake up. He probably would have killed both of them. Right. So, this is another story about that. It's about the same thing, though. Police said she had been raped and stabbed, and her son had been suffocated sometime between midnight and 7 a.m. So 2 of her other kids were sleeping. Man, thank God. And then they had that suspect. And Dayton police have released a man held 3 days for questioning about the January 14th double homicide of a woman and her 21-month-old son. Lawrence Jackson, 24, of 4133 Camera Avenue, was released from city jail Saturday after being picked up Wednesday as a suspect in the killings of Sheila Banks and her son. The woman was raped and stabbed. The infant was smothered. Both were found on her bed. Jackson was released. God, man, what a... Jesus. Did he... Like, the kid was still alive sitting there? Why would you kill the kid? He's not going to remember anything or be able to describe anything. You know, you sort of wonder about that. I mean, she's getting a divorce. And who is the... Why would he kill that one particular kid? Was it just because the kid was right there? Or maybe there was some other connection between the two? He's 24, she was 22. What do you guys think about that one? This is all there is. But don't you think that was a hell of a lot more there than they put in that stupid, on that website? I mean, nothing. They could have put a whole bunch of different information on there. You know, it may have gotten other people more interested. Yeah, so you've got her. She was in the middle of a divorce, and it was going to be finalized on the 26th. You know, just later in the month. So, 12 days after the murder. Now, why were they getting a divorce? Was she seeing? I don't know. Yeah, no, it's just all speculation at that point. I don't know why that guy was a suspect, that Lawrence Jackson individual. I'd like to know that answer. But they really didn't have hardly any articles whatsoever. It sucked. Nah, I don't think so, Susanna. He smothered her to death. It said it right there. He put his face into the mattress so he couldn't breathe, and he died. So if you were just going to speculate, you'd say that the husband that she was divorcing may have had something to do with it, or they were getting divorced because maybe she was with somebody else. Maybe that isn't his kid. That's why they're getting a divorce. And the person who they went after is the father of the kid, but he didn't want to, the whole support thing, didn't want to have a kid. And he goes in there, but why would he rape her, I guess? I don't know. That's just such a strange... He goes into the raper and then he kills this little infant. Wow. I mean, we're not given a lot of facts to work with, except, and also remember there was a break-in the night before, right? So that's interesting. And the person stole a tape recorder. Wonder why they would do that. I don't know. Yeah, I guess. But why kill the little kid? He wasn't even 2 years old. How well can you speak and stuff at 21 months? Well, my kid, hey, great, I'm going to tell you how great my kid could recite the encyclopedia. Yeah. Yeah, see, I knew there'd be somebody that goes, see, my kids are really... Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's weird because my biological father, my mom always suspected for years because somebody broke into our house in like 1972 and stole our home movies. Like, what would be the point of that? But then why would he want? I don't know. Just the whole thing is strange. Yeah, but here's the thing: there's no indication that whoever stole the tape recorder the night before was the same person. I mean, but it sounds very suspicious that it would be because it's so close. It's the very night before. I mean, unless it doesn't look like the greatest neighborhood in the world if you look at the house there. I'm just reading some of the thoughts. Well, anyways, that's all there is on that article. But at least it's actually in the there was more articles in the paper that they could have written up something a little bit better and maybe even spelled her name correctly. I don't even know if she's black or not. Or white or, who knows what race this person is. Her name, I guess, Sheila Banks. It could be either, but I kind of have a suspicion that she's black, and that's why there's so little coverage of it. I mean, if this was back then, if it was a white mom with her baby murdered in the house, it would have been in the paper for a whole bunch, like, especially in a big city like that. It would have been in the paper for a long time. Yeah, it was one of the worst write-ups you've ever seen. Right? It's horrendous. Yeah, there wasn't even a photograph. That's why I have that one blank picture on there. It's interesting that the article didn't mention either. Usually they just mention. Alright, so I'm going to be moving on to the next one now. These are all pretty... they're ones I've never heard of. Plus they're actually pretty interesting. Absolutely cold cases that are never been discussed. Alright, so the next one is actually even before that one, 1969, February 11th. And here we go. And this is in Cincinnati. The body of a young girl was found late Tuesday in a well-lighted entrance to a downtown building, and police said she had been stabbed once in the chest. Authorities identified the victim as Jennifer Judy, 18, who lived at the Fontbonne, or maybe it's Fontbonne, a Catholic women residence in downtown Cincinnati. So that's where she lived. Let me get to that one. I don't know if that's still there. What was the name of that? Fontbonne? No, that's a totally different state. Fontbonne. I bet it's right there. It's hard to say. So are you guys finding these interesting so far? I mean, I know that's a short one, but this one actually has a lot of information on it. It's pretty, especially like these articles like this, a lot of different information. Jennifer Judy was a wealthy girl who had had family and academic difficulties in California and had come to Cincinnati to make a new start. After 2 halting attempts to finish high school, she got a job, moved out of relatives' home to a downtown residence for girls determined to make it on her own, finish school, go to college, and become a social worker to aid dope addicts. That's the portrait painted by friends and relatives of the 18-year-old mysteriously slain Tuesday night in the vicinity of the Earls Building, 311 Pike Street. The slim, 5 feet 5 inch, dark-haired, dark-eyed girl came to the area last June after dropping out of Hillsdale High School, San Mateo, California, at the end of her junior year. Hillsdale principal Ray Alley said Jennifer was a nice young lady with a fair academic record. Her parents, Robert E. Judy, San Francisco, a carbon paper company executive, and Mrs. Patricia McGraw Judy, A something Thomas native, now a San Mateo real estate broker, were divorced in 1965. Jennifer lived with mother for a while and then went to live with dad, but he remarried and that didn't work out, said Miss Judy's sister, Mrs. Nancy Connolly, 21, of San Mateo. In school, she wasn't studying, wasn't doing anything. I think she wanted to get away from it all. Jennifer's brother, Tom Judy, yeah, their last name is Judy, it kind of makes it confusing, lives in Seattle, Washington. Thanks, Lee D. Yeah, I was getting pretty thirsty there, you know. The sports-minded girl who had a fondness for cowboy boots and blue jeans had been a champion swimmer in California and had turned down a chance to try out for the 1964 Olympic Games. Wow. That's pretty cool. She must have been a really good athlete to... Wait, how could she have done that? Oh yeah, 64. Man, she would have only been like 14 years old at the time. That's wild. I should have put Delphi in the title. There'd been more people. Jennifer lived last summer with her grandmother, Mrs. Portia Schaefer, and her stepfather, Marcus G. Schaefer, president of the Ben Schaefer Building. So it sounds like they, came from a pretty wealthy family. Thanks, LM. At Ryland Lakes Country Club, she met Terry Kennedy, 22, son of Mrs. Louis Kennedy. These are just people she's met. It's not really part of the story, to be honest with you. Just kind of gives you her background.
Hope for those cold case families. New science and new coverage.
Yeah. I've never heard of this one. At Ryland Lakes Country Club, she met Terry Kennedy, 22, of Mrs. Louise B. Kennedy, Mirror Court, Ryland, whom she had been dating steadily since Kennedy is employed by G.A. Gray Company, a machine tool manufacturer. Friends described the couple as serious, but they had no future plans. Mrs. Kennedy said her son saw Jennifer mostly on weekends. They went to a movie or came here to play cards or double dated with their friends. Jennifer spent Thanksgiving with us and many evenings here. She was a very nice girl. Now, Mrs. Kennedy said her son had dated Jennifer exclusively but she thought Jennifer may have been dating other boys besides Terry. The girl, whom one friend called fiercely independent, lived last autumn with their uncle and aunt, Mrs. and Mrs. James McGraw, 5 West Southgate Avenue, Fort Thomas. She enrolled September 3rd at Holmes High School, Covington, taking a full schedule of business courses. Yeah, so all this stuff isn't really, it might be relevant just to sort of know what kind of person she is. She withdrew from Holmes October 22nd and enrolled in Highland High School, Fort Thomas, when she went to live with another uncle and aunt, Mr. and Mrs. James B. Stevenson. In November, she flew back to California to visit her parents. When she got back, she found she had lost so many high school credits through transferring schools that she decided to drop out and work a while and go back to school next fall. This is, okay, so just 3 months prior. Jennifer began working November 4th as a part-time lingerie sales clerk to be closer to work. Mrs. Stevenson said she moved into town on December 8th. She got a single room at the Fontbonne, a Catholic residence for girls at 5th and Broadway. Let me see where that is. Oh yeah, I already had that in there. She really liked her work and used to go in on her off hours to see if they could use her. Still, she was quite a family girl. She spent her weekends with her relatives. She stayed last Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday with us, a Cincinnati college girl who also spent the summer in Ryland and knew Jennifer well, said that at Christmas the girl was very happy and contented. She had a lot of problems at home. She had a lot of problems at home and got the feeling that she had been the outcast of her family, the co-ed said. But she said she had cleared up some of her problems when she went back to California at Thanksgiving. She told me that she went to work because she finally got her feet on the ground and realized she wanted to pay her own way. She was determined to make something of herself and to do it all by herself. And so right now we don't, we're still not getting the data, but she was found on the ground right in this little archway here. And if you look right here, they've got a map set up. And it says, the map above marks murdered Jennifer Judy's last walk. Site 1, right up here, is the corner of 5th and Broadway. That's where she lives. Where Shalito's supervisor dropped her off. So where she worked, her supervisor dropped her off between 6:15 and 6:30. So basically, I have it all mapped out here. So she was dropped off right here, 6:15. And then she makes her way over to a Greyhound bus area right over here. I don't know if it's still that now, but probably not. So right in this area, and that was at 8:40. She was last seen in that area. And so see, it was last seen alive about 8:40 p.m. walking east on 5th Street. So east would be this way, and this is 5th Street. So I'm not sure why she went from here to here and then is walking back this way. Street. And then Site 3 is the Earls Building at 300. So Site 3 is all the way over here. And if you look, you can already see that arch right there. And if you look at the picture, it's definitely the same arch and everything. See? So that's been there for 50 years minimum. And then, let's see. She was found at 9:25 laying on the ground right here. Police do not know which way Miss Judy was walking on Pike Street, it says. Let's see. Police do not know which way Judy was walking on Pike. The assailant apparently ran north along Pike. Ah, man. Brutal. Somehow it just shot through the earth. What the hell? So this is Pike Street right here. And he was running north. But what was she doing? Oh, that's right. Well, one of her friends lives in this building. So maybe she went there to visit her. But apparently she was killed in this doorway right here. Then the victim ran this direction, and then he left her wallet was found right there, and then her keychain was found in the middle of the street in that area. Yeah, here's the second half of that last article. That's her right there. Jennifer Judy. At least they had a picture of her in there. What led Jennifer Judy to the darkened Pike Street between 8:40 and 9:25 p.m. Tuesday? The answer to that question plagued police Wednesday as they labored to unravel the mystery surrounding the stabbing death of the pretty 13-year-old. Police believe the murder to be sexual assault motivated, but could not discount robbery since the girl's belongings were strewn northward on Pike Street from the spot where the body was found. A girlfriend, known only as Miss Judy's associates as Kathy, and said to be a resident of the Anna Louise Inn and a girl's resident at 300 Lyle Street. Let's see where that is. 300 Lytle Street. Oh yeah, so that's where the friend lives, right there. A girlfriend known only to Miss Judy's associates as Kathy and said to be a resident of the Anna Louise Inn, a girl's resident at 300 Lytle Street, had not come forward Wednesday evening. Officers were hoping that the Kathy they were seeking could tell them whether Miss Judy was on her way to visit or what she might have been doing in the Earls Building area at the time of the murder. Miss Judy, a resident of the Fontbonne, a Catholic resident for girls at 5th and Broadway, was last seen alive as she walked east on 5th Street past the Greyhound bus terminal. Police said an unnamed witness at the station has positively identified Miss Judy as the passerby he saw at 8:40 p.m. The next person to see her was John Lafreniere at 4010 Clifton Avenue. Let's see where that is. That's going way out there. Oh, so he was just... That's not where he saw her. That's just where he lived. Oh, forget it. Clifton Avenue, employee of the WMT Earls Insurance Agency found Miss Judy's partially clad body lying in the entrance to the Earls building at 311 Pike Street as he entered to pick up some work materials at 9:25 p.m. She had been stabbed once in the center of her chest and was already dead when he bent over her body, police said. No weapon was found. Police said Mrs. Judy's head was up against the vestibule wall, that her cowboy boots were pulled from her feet, and that her blue jeans and panties were pulled down around her ankles. She was still wearing a white blouse and brown suede coat when her body was found, but police said she had not been raped. So he probably got scared off and killed her. Police said Miss Judy's body was found lying on top of her leather purse, and that some of her personal belongings were spread around the body. Lafreniere also told police that he visits the Earls building every Tuesday night to pick up materials for a trip to Columbus called Station X on his own car telephone. Police arrived within minutes, and a manhunt for officers and canine unit dogs fanned out over the construction site adjoining the building and the surrounding area. Miss Judy's picture wallet was found more than a half a block away near A.H. Pugh Printing Company at 400 Pike Street. Okay, yeah, that's what I have. Wallet right there. A keychain believed to have belonged to Miss Judy was also found nearby. The Pugh building is northward and across the street from the Earls building. Police theorized that an attacker ran north on Pike Street, tossing the wallet he thought contained money as he ran. The dead girl's body was identified by her aunt and uncle, Mr. and Mrs. James McGraw, 5 West Southgate Street in Kentucky. Hamilton County Coroner Frank P. Cleveland said Mrs. Judy had been dead for only a short time before her body was found. He pronounced her dead at the scene at 10 p.m. Sergeant Russell Jackson, homicide, said relatives and friends of the girl were interviewed Wednesday and that her parents arrived in Cincinnati in the late afternoon from California. Services for Miss Judy will be at the convenience of the family today at the Dobling Funeral Home. Yeah. Man, it's going to be one of those bad nights, huh? I can just tell. Because I'm doing those topics, doesn't have any of the big names in it. It's weird how it works like that. Thanks, Ozo. Yeah, this is one that took me, I'd say 4 hours to find all this stuff. So maybe I don't know. I might do the next story on a different show. Or it's got to be worth the time. That's the problem. And the Blazers, shit, down 7. Thanks, Ozo. Are you all right, Rita? You okay? Yeah. All right, let's see. Friends of the girl were interviewed Wednesday and that her parents arrived. Okay, so we've got that one. Then there's this timeline in another article right here that I found. An unidentified witness who saw Jennifer Judy walking east on 5th Street near the Western Southern Life Insurance Building at 8:45 Tuesday enabled police to tentatively set the girl's path to her death Friday. Hey, thanks, Jen. Homicide Sergeant Russell Jackson said it appeared that the girl left her residence at the Fontbonne, walked to the Greyhound bus station side of Fifth Street, and then proceeded eastward. So that doesn't really make any sense to me. Unless we don't have the Fontbonne in the right spot. Why would you do that?
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
It says she's dropped off right here. Then she goes over to the bus station, then she's seen walking east that way. Maybe the bus station's just a area, and she didn't really go there to take a bus. Miss Judy, 18, was found stabbed to death in the vestibule of the Earls Building at 311 Pike Street. Police have contended the slaying was either sexual assault or robbery motivated. Where Miss Judy was between 8:40 p.m. when she was spotted outside the bus station until the time her body was found is the crucial question in the case. Hey, thanks, Sheila Banks. The timetable.
Appreciate all your work.
See, the thing is with the super chats, everybody, is that's kind of what our whole thing is for the month. Okay, the super chats is really what keep the channel going. Channel memberships is part of it, but the revenue from that is nowhere near, and that's the only reason we're able to do the charities and support my channel each month is through the super chats. And that's why I put so much time into each night's show, getting all the different files and things together, because I'm trying to put on a show that you guys feel like is worth it, and so that's what the deal is. And my thing is I hate mentioning it. It's like one of those things like, ew, yikes. But at the same time, it's kind of what it is. That's why we have $7,000 in the DNA fund and $4,000 of charity donated. Now, once we hit 15 in the DNA fund, I'm going to switch over, and it's all going to be going to charity. Unless we run out of money in the DNA fund, then I'll put it back into that. All right, so there you go. Hey, thanks, Jamie Harrell. Yeah, that's why I always say, just think of me like you're going to go to Starbucks or something, or 10 Starbucks if you feel like it. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate it. But it's got to be one of those things where, there you go. Susanna McGillipadrick. Hey, we keep hearing the search dogs and all these stories we've been doing. Yeah, I love the old ones too. I think they give you a lot more information. Everything's better about it. So much easier to find stuff. And what's weird is this is one that, look, let me show you the, look at this. Look at this.
Been listening and paying attention. Love the old cases.
Look at this. This is the write-up on that Ohio website. No picture. I found one. There's one in the paper. And then it just says, Jennifer Judy, age 18, was stabbed to death at 311 Pike Street. Next! There's nothing else of interest for anybody. You have a picture of her, put it there, and then have somebody put I almost feel like I should ask for access so I can add to some of these things. They're just pathetic, Thanks, Rita Schaefer. What do you guys think of that? Isn't that ridiculous right there? Was stabbed to death. That's all they put in there. Nothing.
God bless all the work you do.
It's insane. All right. So anyways, Miss Judy, 18, was found stabbed to death in the vestibule of the Earls Building at 311 Street at 9:25 p.m. Tuesday. Where Miss Judy was between 8:40 p.m. when she was spotted outside the bus station until the time her body was found is the crucial question in the case. The timetable now shows at 8:40 p.m. She was seen in front of the Greyhound bus terminal on 5th Street. So that's right here. And then at 8:45 p.m. was seen walking east at 5th and Broadway. So she was here again. So this is where she was dropped off after work. Then it was over here. And then she's seen over here again at 8:45. Hey, thanks, Lee D. So she was probably in her, after she was dropped off, went inside, maybe changed, whatever she did. And then she's over here at 8:40. Then she's back again walking this direction. Chewbacca?
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Appreciate your time and work.
Well, thank you. And so she's seen walking towards, eastward actually, at East and Broadway. So that's Broadway, and this is East 5th Street. And then at 9:05, so 20 minutes after that, screams, see, that's something new. 9:05, screams are heard by 3 blind girls at the Anna Louise Inn. Is that is that real? I mean, that almost sounds like something you just sort of threw in there. By 3 blind girls at the Anna Louise Inn. Let's see if that's still there. No. That's up there. There's no way that... It's probably down here at one point. And then at 9:10, a man seen running away from the scene at Columbia Parkway and Pike Street. So that's Pike, goes like, this is Pike Street right here. Yeah, Pike Street. And I think that's probably Columbia Parkway and Pike Street. So he's seen running. That could be right there, but it says East 4th. They have him running this direction. So he took off, and that was at 9:10. And then just 15 minutes later is when her body was discovered inside that, in the vestibule there. And just through those arches that you can see right there. She was found right on the ground, right in there. So it's interesting. The guy, we're talking about a winter time of year, so it's dark outside. 1960. What year is this? 1969, and he traps her in there, and he tries to rape her. What's weird is when was the screaming heard in the process? Because it seems like he'd got pretty far along with her, her pants off and all that, and it wouldn't be easy to do with somebody struggling. What do you guys think about it so far? Yeah, well, it's not really something to look into that much, Hydra. I'm showing you all of the information that's out there. There's no newspaper articles or anything. I mean, any web information or anything. Yeah, the missing time. Doesn't really seem like there was a lot of missing time. Now, there really isn't a ton of missing time. It's just, the only amount of missing time there is the amount of time it would take to walk. She's right here at 9:05, right? And then look at the walk right there. Let's see how far that is. Let's just do math, just somebody walking. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. It's about a quarter of a mile. And so that's crazy, right? She's right here at 9:05, and just 5 minutes later, she walks over here. It's a quarter of a mile, and she is screaming at 9:05. Or, let's see. Oh, wait, excuse me. So she's seen walking by this area at 8:45 right here. So it's 8:45 right there, and then she's screaming at 9:05 right there. So a 20-minute gap. Maybe she went back into her apartment really quick and then walked down to go visit her friend in this area. But you know, there's not a ton of missing time, right? It's 8:45. She's seen right here. She's seen walking east at 5th and Broadway, right there. And then the next thing you know, you hear screaming at 20 minutes later inside, right down here. And then 5 minutes after the screaming, there's this guy running down the street this way. And then 15 minutes after that, her body's found inside that archway. So there's really just this 20-minute time frame, which really isn't crazy, right? It's not like, oh, wow. It's 20 minutes. She could have walked slow, or she could have went into her apartment again. This isn't what it looked like back then, I can assure you. Let's see. Yeah. It didn't look like that. So, is that confusing, the little 20 minutes there? I mean, it could have been that she went into maybe she went into the wrong building, she didn't know, or who the hell knows? Or she was walking here, then the guy kind of coaxed her in. She hadn't started screaming yet. So there could be some time. And by the way, when she screamed at 9:05, things had already been going on, so she might have got there at 9, right? Maybe even 8:55-ish. And things were escalating, and then she finally screams. Well, it's weird because the 3 people that heard her scream were 3 blind girls. What are the odds of that? The 3 people that heard her scream look, but they're blind. I mean, that's just, that's like, you wouldn't even put that in a movie script, would you? It's just crazy. Screams heard by 3 blind girls at the Anna Louise Inn. That's ridiculous. Police interrogated a total of 4 suspects in connection with the slayings Friday, but Jackson said none would be held or charged. He declined to say where the suspects were picked up or whether they were known sex offenders. A description of a man seen running away from the spot where the body was found turned up a suspect at the Pike Street area early Friday, but District 2 police, District 2 police who questioned the man said he was with a girl in the Anna Louise Inn. Oh, wow. That's right there, though. The Anna Louise Inn, corner of Pike and 3rd Street, when the murder occurred. Police are still seeking a thin black man, 25 to 30, 5'6" to 5'8" inches tall and 140 to 150 pounds. A witness who came to police Thursday said he saw the man running across 5th Street, less than a block from the murder scene, at about the time of the death. He said the man was wearing a medium brown waist-length jacket and a red scarf or a rag on his head. Police interviewed 3 youths arrested in Newport after Fort Thomas girl was raped near the river floodwall late Thursday. Police were checking the youth's story. Jackson maintained his policy Friday of not releasing to the press the names of witnesses or informants who have provided police with clues in the case. All right. And then we're going. So that's been from February, the first article's 12th. Now it's February 16th. So just 4 days in. Police still looking for leads. Suspect in Judy slaying. Homicide detective Saturday rechecked the area of Pike Street where Judy was killed last Tuesday, hoping to turn up new leads. Police have found no suspects in the killing, but are seeking a black man seen running from the area at about the time the girl was killed. Miss Judy, 18, a resident of the Fontbonne, was found in the vestibule of the Earls building. She had one stab wound in the chest. Her purse was found under the body, but some of its contents were found on Pike Street. All right. No connection found between rape reports and Judy slaying. Homicide detectives who spent the day interviewing 2 women involved in Tuesday morning rape cases said they gained no solid information that would connect the incidents to last week's slaying of Jennifer Judy. But Sergeant Russell Jackson, homicide, said there's always a chance of picking up new clue. We'll keep checking these and other reports out that we think could be related. Miss Judy, 18, a resident of the Fontbonne, a Catholic resident for girls, was found stabbed to death in the vestibule of the Earls building at 311 Pike Street last Tuesday. Police have maintained that the attack was probably sexually motivated since Miss Judy's blue jeans and panties were pulled down around her ankles when the body was found. Tuesday reported rape cases were investigated very thoroughly. In one case, a 41-year-old white woman on Ohio Avenue told police a black man, 35 to 40, 5'7", grabbed her and began from behind as she was entering her house at 2 a.m. She said the man held a knife to her throat and pushed her inside the house. So you've got a few elements that are the same. The height is similar, the color of the person, and then also a knife. Police said a rape exam taken at General Hospital turned up negative. In another incident, 23-year-old white woman on Main Street said a young black man, 5'6", entered her apartment through a kitchen window and threw a coat over her head, and as she was lying in the bed. She said the man raped her and left by the window. Police said a rape report on the woman was positive. The assault occurred at 6:45 a.m. Police said they had no suspects in either rape case. Jackson said Tuesday police had made some additions to the timetable of Miss Judy's actions, so now they've got a little bit more time frame here. All right, so 6:15 p.m. she quit work at Shillito's downtown, so it's a place that she worked. Then at 6:20 to 6:45, stopped for a drink with 2 women supervisors at Podge Y Bar. Let's see what that is. Okay, so 611 Elm Street. Yeah, so this is where this is at 6:20. I'll just put like 6:20 to 6:45 p.m. at the Podge Wise Bar. Okay, so that's where she was at 6. I don't know, the other place didn't give an address. 6:45, she was driven to the Fontbonne by a supervisor. So apparently, they're having drinks, and then her supervisor, I guess that was probably there too, Drove her to right around in this area where apparently she lived. At 8 p.m., she seen eating at the Minute Chef restaurant at Sheraton and Gibson. Let's see where that is. So now that kind of explains some of that, why she walked over there. Yeah, I don't know if that's what that's saying. Chef Restaurant, Sheraton and Gibson. So I think it's called Sheraton Gibson Restaurant. So I don't really know where that is. But see, that kind of makes sense that she's over in this area. She gets dropped off here, and then she goes over to get something to eat down here. Is it still there? Let's see. Maybe it's this right here at this hotel, Sheraton, you know. It's just something to eat, right? Okay, so 8 p.m. at alright. Somewhere down there. So it kind of makes sense heading over here. And at 8:35 p.m. bought a San Francisco newspaper at a newsstand across from the hotel. So I bet that is what that is. See, that's a hotel. And which one is it? It just says hotel. Man, that's about the most generic name for a hotel I've ever seen, called Hotel. Yeah, I bet you that's it. But anyways, so at 8:35, we got a lot more detail in here. She bought a San Francisco newspaper at a newsstand across from the motel. So maybe right in this area. Bought a newspaper at 8:35. Well, it's a hotel. I mean, it could have been one of these other ones too. There's a Marriott right there. I'm just sort of choosing this area just because it doesn't really matter exactly over here. It just means that they know where she was. So 8 p.m. So she gets driven home, dropped off. See, the 6:15 isn't really. What time was she dropped off at home again? Was driven to the Fontbonne. Okay, so that's 6:45 now. And we can also put dropped off by supervisor, right? So there we go. Hey, thanks, Miss Skiss. Hey, cups of coffees are good too.
Just a cup of coffee, smiling face with hearts.
Well, thank you. Alright. Okay, so she got off work at 6:15. Then she stopped for drinks over here. Then one of her supervisors drove her home. She got there at 6:45. Then, who knows, she probably went inside, changed a little bit, then got something to eat over at a at a Sheridan Gibson a hotel, apparently. Then across the street from that, bought a newspaper at 8:35. And then right after that, she's seen walking east past the Greyhound terminal. Okay, now that makes more sense. She's walking east right here, so just 5 minutes after she bought the newspaper. She's walking this direction, and then at 8:40 passes the Greyhound station right there. Then 8:45 to 8:50 is seen walking east on 5th near the Western Southern building. I wonder if that's this. Man, they really don't like to label their buildings over here. Oh, okay. There it is, Western Southern Life Insurance. So it's actually right across the street from her, where she lived. But anyway, so she's walking right here at, walking east on 5th Street near the Western Southern building and turning south onto Lawrence Street. Wow. They really got her nailed. I mean, like, pinned down exactly where she was going. And look at, there's Lawrence right there. Okay, hold on. So this is at 8:45. Let's just go with 8:50. 8:50. Western Southern building. Okay, and that all makes sense, right? She's right here at 8:35. 10 minutes later, she's seen walking by here. A little bit slow walking, you know, but you got a newspaper. And then 8:50 to 8:45. So it could have been 8:45, which would make it seem, you know, more mathematically closer to the actual walk time. So I'll make that 8:45. Western Southern building. So there we go. Walking this direction. Then they have her. Then she's seen walking east on 5th near the Western Southern building and turning south onto Lawrence Street, which is right here. Okay, so right here she's actually going down this street, a back alley kind of. You know, it's not really the greatest. It doesn't look great. That. And then at night, let me go let's take a look at that. I bet you this doesn't look way different than it did. Yeah, see, that's really kind of dodgy there. I mean, some of this is probably new, but look at it. It goes to the back of those buildings where she was found. You know, what if she actually was already in the building or something? You know, like goes inside and then isn't she just, where's she found? Oh, she's way over there. Never mind. Jeez, it looked so similar. I thought it was kind of like she was going down and then had to pan back out. Never mind what I just said. So she was walking down this way though, maybe heading sort of a back direction. I wonder why she didn't just kind of go like this. All right, then the next one is at 9:05, blind girls at Anna Louise Inn heard a scream. Anna Louise Inn. That's not gonna. That can't be it. I'm just looking to see. It was a woman's facility. Yep. Okay. Is it still there? Providing low cost. The present location of the home is 2401 Reading Road. For over a century, Anna Louise Inn was located downtown Cincinnati within the Lytle Park Historic District. After a protracted legal battle, Western and Southern Financial Group bought the original building and are in the process of converting it into a hotel. Oh man, so now I don't really... Okay. Huh. Well, that's weird because that... Yeah, I think they still... You know, they're right here. In this building. That's the Western Southern building. So what was the building that they... I was trying to get the actual old address of it. Anna Louise Inn. Okay. Alright, that's the... I see what it looks like. So that's it right there. Oh, there's 3rd and Lytle Street. Okay. I think it might be that one, but I don't know. Let's see. Yep, that's it. So this is the girls' home there that we heard the 3 blind girls, or yeah, blind girls. And that was at 9:05. 9:05. 3 blind girls hear scream. And I guess that kind of makes... totally makes sense, actually. That's the... I think that's even where her friend lived. So 3 blind girls in this building heard screams at 9:05, and the screams would have been from right over in this area, which makes sense. You know, if they were lived on this side, they easily could have heard that. Alright, then 9:25 p.m. body found, so now it's 9:25. Oh, that was always 9:25. Okay. So I think that makes more sense in terms of all the timing. 8:45 right there. Then she's walking around. You know, maybe 8:50. You know, who knows? They said 8:45 to 8:50. And then 9:05, she's screaming in this area. So just 15 minutes later. One of her friends lived here. 9:05, blind girls hear screaming. Then 9:10, the suspect, I think, was running this direction. And then 9:25, her body was found. I'm going to put 9:10 on there. Yeah, we're getting killed. The Blazers, by the way. Wow. Jesus. Let's see. Wow. That's just it's so awesome how they give you so much detail back then. Jackson said witnesses who saw Miss Judy turning south onto Lawrence Street has positively identified the girl. He said Miss Judy could not have got to Pike Street from Lawrence without going all the way to 3rd Street. Yeah, see, that seems kind of odd. Like, you'd have to go, there's 3rd, way down here. So she would have to walk all the way to 3rd Street, and then maybe that's why it took her, let's see, right here. So you'd have to walk all the way down, but I don't even know how you would have got to 3rd Street. So that's the Lawrence Street. Probably look, these highways weren't there, I bet you, back then. I'd bet money on that. Yeah, we're talking 1969. So she would have probably walked from here and then down to 3rd Street and then that direction. So that's probably what makes up that extra time. So that's what this person's saying. Jackson said witness who saw Miss Judy turning south on Lawrence Street has positively identified the girl. He said Miss Judy could not have got to Pike Street from Lawrence without going all the way to 3rd Street or crossing through the tunnel excavation at the north end of Pike Street. He said nothing was found in the construction area to indicate Miss Judy walked through there. Articles found at the scene of the slaying and sent to the FBI crime lab in Washington had not been returned as of Tuesday. I wonder if they still have that. Then we got police face stalemate and search. Police seeking the slayer of Jennifer Judy are in a stalemate. Sergeant Russell Jackson, homicide chief, acknowledged Thursday. Jackson has cut the number of men working full-time on the case from 20 to 4. He said the investigation is at a point of checking and rechecking everything. Miss Judy, 18, a resident of the Fontbonne, a Catholic residence for girls at 5th Street and Broadway, was found stabbed to death in her vestibule. Since then, investigation has produced no significant results. Jackson said some 100 persons have been questioned. None was a solid suspect. Jackson said the daily investigation revolves around checking the backgrounds and interviewing persons known to frequent the area of the slaying. He added that much emphasis has been placed on locating and interviewing known sex offenders. In a big murder like this, we need lab information now. Not that it's the FBI's fault. They have their own cases to work on, but we need local facilities so that we can do these tests ourselves, he said. Meanwhile, Jackson said 4 men still are working full-time on the unsolved slaying of Harry Danford, so another individual. Alright, so that was February 28th. Now the stories start dwindling down. March 7th. Victim's clothing sheds little light on Judy murder. The Cincinnati Homicide Squad Thursday received an FBI crime laboratory report on clothing and other items found at the scene. The report disclosed no significant information. Sergeant Russell Jackson, Homicide Squad Chief, commented. He declined to state whether police had any new suspects in the nearly month-old murder. Only clue released by police was the description of a thin male, black, 25 to 30, 5'6 to 5'8", who was seen running near the death scene shortly before the body was discovered. Also unsolved is the January 2nd murder of Harry Danford. So another bringing him up again. Alright, and then 3 months after that, you've got an article. No one in the area will talk to us or admit knowing anything about the murder. First of the 5 unsolved murders occurred January 3rd when Harry Danford, okay, that's hers. February 11th, Miss Jennifer Judy, 18, a part-time department store sales clerk, was found stabbed to death in the lobby of the Earls Building at 311 Pike. The victim, who lived at the Fontbonne, a Catholic resident for girls, had not been raped. Well, the thing is, if it's attempted rape, just call it rape, all right? That's what he was intending to do. That's what it, it's like a whole thing. Well, she apparently wasn't raped. Well, that's what he was trying to do. And intent is really where I go. All right, let's see. Then you know what kind of person you're dealing with at that point. And this is 1970 in September. So about a year and a half later, 31-year-old Detroit man who has been a suspect for 19 months in the stabbing death of Jennifer Judy was released by Cincinnati police Friday night when a woman failed to pick him out of a police lineup. So the person who saw the person running wasn't able to pick him out of a lineup. The man had been a suspect in the case since about a week after Miss Judy's body was found early on the night of February 11, 1969. He was brought to Cincinnati Thursday after Detroit police arrested him last week on a traffic violation charge. Homicide detectives gave the man, a former mental patient, a lie detector test early Friday, but said results were inconclusive. Friday night, he was viewed in a lineup by a woman who told police she had seen a short, thin man running on the night of the crime less than a block from where the body was found. Sergeant Russell Jackson, chief of homicide squad, said police took the man to the bus station so he could catch a bus to Detroit after the woman said she could not identify him. Well, I'm glad she didn't invent that he looked familiar. Oh, that's him, that's him. That's where you get the bullshit wrongly convicted people. Because if she had merely said, that's him, he probably would have been sent to prison and never got out. So we don't know. I mean, he must have been a good suspect for another reason. And had she said that, it might have corroborated it, and you might have got the right guy. But I hate when they say, oh yeah, he looked like the guy. And it turns out, well, I couldn't really tell. Didn't say anything for 30 years while the guy rotted away in prison. But right here it explains it. Jackson said the Detroit man became a suspect because he failed to appear at his Cincinnati job to pick up his paycheck the morning after the killing. That's pretty interesting. And because a maid at the Cincinnati boarding house where he lived until the night of the crime found a bloody rag in his room. God, did they keep that? Further investigation revealed that the man, a native of Detroit, had been a patient in a mental institution in Michigan and Tennessee, Jackson said. Oh, well, that sounds like a good... like they had a pretty decent suspect there. Man, if they'd kept that rag, they could have tested it today. Just keep a hold of those kind of things. No, I just washed it with the rest of the laundry. So, what do you guys think about this one? That's pretty crazy, though, right? I mean, that just shows you, this is like the perfect example of just how there's barbarians out there. She's just totally normal, like any other kid living in a city. Goes, out to have a couple beers after work. Gets driven home. I'm not sure how she was getting... How old was she? Wasn't she only 18? I can't remember that. Yeah, she was only 18. I guess she could have beer or something back then. But and then she gets driven back to where she lives at 6:45 after having some drinks. Then probably, maybe takes a shower, changes clothes, walks down, gets something to eat over at a hotel over here, then walks across the street at 8:35, picks up a newspaper, Then she's walking down the street, passes the Greyhound bus station. Then she walks by, passes the Western Southern building, takes a right on Lawrence Street, and apparently would have had to walk down all the way to 3rd Street. And then at 9:05, 3 blind girls at this building right here hear a scream. And then 5 minutes after that, there's somebody running down the street. And then down here, they actually find her wallet and keychain. So the person probably did run that direction. And then at 9:25, they find her body in the vestibule right there. That's crazy, right? It's wild. I mean, I wonder what she was doing over here, though. They never quite answered that question, did they? Was she actually going to go visit that friend that was mentioned? What was that person's name? Does anybody remember that? Does anybody remember that friend? Oh, this is what we do all the time here, Carolina girl. This is what we do on this channel, is we pick those ones that nobody's talking about, and you'll never hear it again unless somebody heard this and they go, hey, I just found it. Yeah. Okay, nobody covers these. What time did she return home? Well, she only got home once. It sounded like before. We don't know if she got dropped off at 6:45 after work, after having drinks. Then she was dropped off at 6:45 at her home. This used to be probably a different building back then. And then after that, she walked over here to get some food to eat, then got a newspaper, and then walked this direction and actually passed where she lived, and then took a right on Lawrence Street. So she only went home once. That was Kathy. So let me put that here. Thank you. Maybe was it a K or I can't even remember. Shit. Who cares? All right, so there you go. Man, that's so random. It's going to be I actually think there's a possibility that other person, the other rapist out there, is the same person. Same size, everything. Knife. What does that mean, Zozo? I don't get it. I don't want this account. Huh? What does that mean? Seems like she felt comfortable in her neighborhood. Yeah, she seemed like somebody was just kind of, I'm sure it was a lot different back then. But wasn't this the same town that one story was in? That crazy one we went over the other night that was the Mad Butcher of... Well, it wasn't the Mad Butcher. The lady that went... I think it was Cincinnati, that went there with her friend from another state, right? And... they both had jobs, and she got just absolutely murdered in her... Where was that? Does anybody remember which case that was and where that was? I know that... Yeah, Susanna, that book. Who was the book that we bought? That you bought and then I bought it. Yeah, Sophia Baird. What city was that in? Wasn't that Cleveland? It was Cleveland, right? No? Hell, I thought it was... Yeah, I can't remember now. Oh, so it was in Cincinnati. Okay, it was Cincinnati. Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of... I wouldn't say that's the greatest city in the world right there. But that's all there is, everybody. Which was quite a bit more than the other one. But Oops. How are you spelling? Sophia. I don't see it. It's strange, it's not popping up. Baird was the last name? I must have removed it from this folder. Let me check somewhere else. Nelson. No. God. It's wild. How's Baird spelled in that one? B-A-I-R-D. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, it's Cincinnati. Just want to make sure. All right, we're moving on to the next one, everybody. Get the coffee cups ready, huh? Yeah, apparently, Dan, but yeah, it was Cincinnati. It's weird. It's weird how you have these little map, and then I can just, it's just gone. You know, you turn it off, and then work on another case. But they really covered that one well there. There it is, Sarah Beth Colagras. And plus I don't have any face masks for you, so.
For your coffee.
Coffee? Oh, I see. One was a emoji that it read out loud, and the other was just... Alright, the next one is a triple murder from 1968 in Ohio, but in a small town. Right, and here is the house right there. This one's a weird one. I guess everybody else has drank as much as they could. Two found dead in home near Milan. The bodies of William and Ann Cassidy were found today in their home on Ohio 299 north of Milan. They apparently had been beaten to death. Patricia Cassidy, 11, a daughter, was also found beaten and taken to Elyria Memorial Hospital. Her condition was not known. The Erie County Sheriff's Office said the bodies were found by a son, Mike, 17. No other details were immediately available. Yeah, it took me a while, but I found the house. Yeah, this was a guy that I saw on an interview, actually. Lived in this area, and then they said it was up the street, but it took me a while. I just knew that it was on this road and ended up finding it. But I think it's been remodeled, looks different. But. Yeah, so this is just way out in the country. Alright, so here we go. Sandusky, solution of the slaying of a Milan township couple who were shotgunned. So they were all shot with shotguns in their bed. Both the parents were yesterday. May lie with the couple's critically injured 12-year-old daughter. Erie County Sheriff Albert Hess said yesterday. The daughter, Patricia Cassidy, is in critical condition at Elyria Hospital. She was clubbed savagely, apparently by the slayer of her father. You know, you wonder if they used the butt of the shotgun or something. Thanks, Fiber Sleuth. William Cassidy, 42, and her mother, Ann, 30. So the father is William Cassidy, he's 42, and the mother is 30 years old. Let's see, and then police had been called by 17-year-old Michael Cassidy, son of the slain couple. He reported finding their bodies when he returned from his job cleaning up in a Huron bar 6 miles from, I think it might be Huron, bar 6 miles from a 2-story farmhouse. When deputies arrived, they found Cassidy dead. He had been, well, there's more than one Cassidy though, right? Cassidy dead. He had been shot in the chest and head. His wife, well, they're both Cassidys, all right? You know, she probably had another, I don't know why, they just word things strangely back then. When deputies arrived, they found Cassidy dead. He had been shot in the chest and head. His wife lay in the bed with a shot in the head. Patricia lay in a pool of blood on her bed in an adjoining second-floor bedroom. Downstairs on a coffee table in the living room lay a copy of Truman Capote's In Cold Blood. Isn't that crazy? An account of the massacre of a farm family in Kansas. Apparently that's like a clue, an actual, you know, a signature. You know, it's pretty strange. I don't think that, well, they found it there. It was really weird. But anyways, Mrs. Cassidy died minutes after she was rushed to Fisher Titus Memorial Hospital. Patricia underwent neurosurgery for several hours yesterday. Everything hinges on what the girl might be able to tell us, Hess said. We can't find a motive. The shotgun used in the slaying was not found. It was believed to be one owned by the family, authorities said. It normally was kept in the enclosed porch of the house, said Sergeant Harold Gladwell of the Sheriff's Department. Probe continues in gun deaths of Ohio couple. A 12-year-old girl today was the only link authorities had between her severe beating and the shotgun deaths of her parents. Patricia Cassidy, however, was under intensive care and in critical condition in the Elyria Hospital. Her brother, Michael, 17, found her and her parents' bodies in their large white frame home near the Ohio Turnpike Monday, when he returned home from cleaning a bar here. Sheriff deputies said William Cassidy, 42, and his wife, Ann, 39, not 30, were killed by shotgun blasts in their heads while sleeping in their bed. Patricia was beaten, possibly by the same shotgun. There you go, see? Used to murder her parents, deputies said. Sheriff's Sheriff at Hess in Erie County said there was no signs of a forced entry into the home. He added there was no sign of any struggle. Yeah, there's the house again right there. So, a 17-year-old youth found his parents shot to death and his sister critically beaten early today at their home in Huron Township. This is another article of the same day. Dead are William Cassidy, 42, and his wife, Ann Cassidy, 39. That's the Mike, the brother, right there. I'll zoom in so you can see him a little bit better. Patricia Cassidy, 12, is listed in critical condition today at Elyria Hospital. Hospital suffering from face and scalp lacerations. She was taken into surgery at 10:15 a.m. The youth, Michael Cassidy, returned to his home along Route 13, 2 miles north of Milan, and found his father dead from a shotgun wound. Miss Cassidy was still alive, but died about 10 minutes after arriving at Fisher Fidus Memorial Hospital. Erie County Sheriff Al Hess told the Reflector that Michael had returned home sometime around 4:02 a.m., which that's kind of weird, right? From his part-time job in Huron, where he cleaned a tavern after it closed. Well, then that's not that weird at that point, then. The bodies of Mr. and Mrs. Cassidy were found in their upstairs bedroom. The sheriff said Patricia was found in her bed in a nearby bedroom. Sheriff Hess said no motive was apparent. He said nothing could be found missing from the home. Hess said Patricia was beaten with a blunt instrument, possibly the shotgun that was used to murder her parents. Yeah, it's different. County tragedy stuns neighbor. Tranquility. Yeah, so it's just about the same thing. Let's see. Ann's mother and sister are school teachers. Mrs. X said, we both like to read and we exchange books. This is the personal touch part of it. Cassidy was formerly the operator of the Sunoco gas station in Huron. He had operated his own business, Cassidy Supply Company, a supply house for construction goods. He was presently doing construction work in Elyria. Patricia, a 7th grader at Milan High School and a member of the school choir, was the sex babysitter. She was only 12, and her parents, thought she might be too young, but the children loved her. So anyways, that's another article that came out right around the day that was the same day that they were killed, actually. Or maybe it was the following day, but it was in the paper. Alright. So now we're on the 4th. They were murdered on April 1st, April Fool's Day, actually, 1968. It was funny because I was looking up April Fool's cases the other day, but I didn't find, or yesterday, and I didn't find any, and this is just completely random that this one was like this. Lie test clear youth in Milan's double murder. 12-year-old Patricia Cassidy died in Memorial Hospital today. A sheriff's deputy stands guard outside the hospital room of Patricia Cassidy, 12, while authorities check for clues and leads on the slaying of her parents. Authorities are hoping the girl can provide the solution or assist them in the investigation. But Patricia remained unconscious and in critical condition in Memorial Hospital at Elyria Wednesday night. Sheriff Albert H. Hess said whoever shot her father, William, 42, and mother, Ann, 39, also brutally beat Patricia. The Cassidy's son, Michael, 17, discovered the tragedy when he returned home at 4 a.m. Monday from his job of cleaning up a tavern. The Cassidys lived at nearby Milan. Erie County Prosecutor George S. Steinman said Michael Cassidy, this is the son here, voluntarily took a lie detector test Wednesday, and his answers tended to clear him of any suspicion in the case. Because, you know, he gets home at 4. How do they know he didn't do it? And then just, oh, look what I, you know. Well, it's a little bit weird, too. Didn't they, what time were police called? Yeah. The test was given at police headquarters in Toledo, and the youth was accompanied by 2 relatives, his attorney, 2 sheriff deputies, and Steinman. Yeah. All right. Under guard at hospital room. Okay, that's the same story. And then the next article that came out is this one. The beaten girl dies, so she wasn't even able to say anything. 12-year-old Patricia Cassidy died in Memorial Hospital here Thursday, ending a hope by authorities she could provide a clue to the assailant who shot her parents to death and beat her in the home near Milan early Monday. The parents were slain by a shotgun charge, and Sheriff Albert H. Hayes of Erie County said he believed the shotgun was used to beat Patricia, who never regained consciousness. The weapon has not been found. Funeral services for the parents, William Cassidy, 42, and his wife, Ann, 39, were held Wednesday. The Cassidy son, Michael, 17, discovered the tragedy when he returned home at 4 a.m. Monday from his job of cleaning up a tavern. I mean, it's interesting. The reason it seems like he's a little bit suspicious is that his mother and his sister were still alive. You know, when you get shot in the head like that, you're not... You know, he probably called 911, whatever, the police quickly. I don't know if it was 911. And they get out there and she's just barely alive because the killings hadn't happened that long ago. Right? So that's what's a little bit suspicious to me about that. Yeah, 170 watching. You know, yeah. It's been brutal in here. Erie County Prosecutor George Steinem said Michael Cassidy voluntarily took a lie detector test Wednesday, and his answers tended to clear him of any suspicions. The test was given at police headquarters in Toledo. So it sucks because the only living witness is now dead. This is the house right here, except it's been remodeled in here. Doesn't quite look like that anymore. But you can tell it's pretty rural. It's just... And this is another story about her dying. Sandusky, brutally beaten Patricia Cassidy, 12, of Milan, died in Lara Memorial Hospital yesterday, taking with her hopes of investigators that she would be able to identify the shotgun slayer. We had hopes she could tell us who did it, said Erie County Sheriff Albert Hess last night. We are going to have to do some digging and talk to a lot more people. Patricia had been unconscious since she was bludgeoned early Monday morning, apparently with the butt of the shotgun the slayer fired in killing her parents. The bodies of the parents and the unconscious girl were found by her 17-year-old brother, Michael, a Milan high school senior in the rural 2-story family home 14 miles south of here. Deputies have been unable to find a motive for the slayings. Seems like to me it's like a lot of hate. You know, you just go in there and you just... Somebody hates everybody. You know, beats the girl senselessly, kills her, and shoots the parents in the head. The murder weapon has not been found. The family shotgun was missing from an enclosed porch. A veterinarian, Dr. James Strayer, told the plane dealer the Cassidy dog apparently was injured at or about the time of the murders, possibly by the killer. Oh, the dog was injured. Oh, now everybody cares. Yeah, that's the fake public out there. The black mongrel, mongrel paralyzed in its hind quarters, was brought to him by a neighbor. It had suffered a blow on the back, Dr. Strayer said, but there's no way I could tell how. Apparently, it had been injured the night of the slayings because neighbors said it was romping around okay earlier that day. Dr. Strayer said the murders have made Milan Township area residents nervous. Some are getting watchdogs. Over the last 3 days, we could have placed over 100 large dogs if we had them. Usually people don't want big dogs, but now everybody wants them. See, another one of those senseless murders. Yeah. Yeah, more people should care about the girl being killed than the dog being injured. But, you know, you always get people that pretend that they're just so, you know, oh, go with a dog, man, how dare he? Oh, the 12-year-old? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I love my dogs too, but let's have priorities sometimes, you know. And just remember, everybody, I'm just a cup of coffee. All right. See, here's the thing: is the way it works is if I know exactly what we need to be doing, and you know, even last night and then today we're behind last month by a dramatic amount. It's almost like we. It was so weird. Last month was strange. I'm not sure what the deal was. It was one of our best months we ever had. And that's why we were able to do 3,000. I'm just hoping, my goal is to be able to do 2,000 minimum. But, you know, 24 would get us to 30. I think if we do 2,500 a month, it gets us to 30,000 at the end of the year, right? Does that make sense? So 10 months would be 25. Yeah, that's exactly 30,000. But we're ahead of target on that. God, I forgot to drink that. Yeah, a lot of sick people out there. Which one are we on? Okay. Girl dies unable to give clues. Okay, we got that. Come on. Okay, BCI investigators visit slaying scene. Erie County Sheriff Albert H. Hess yesterday called on the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Identification to help him investigate the 5-day-old slaying of 3 members of the rural Milan Township family. Three BCI investigators visited the scene of the slayings and returned to their London headquarters with several items they hope will supply clues. One item in particular said Hess would provide the only real lead in the shotgun slayings of William Cassidy. Thanks, Ozo. 42 and his wife Ann, 39. Hess declined to elaborate. The Cassidy daughter, Patricia, 12, died Thursday. She had been in a coma since being beaten brutally early Monday. The slayings were reported by the Cassidy son, Michael, 17, the only survivor. We gotta find the gun that was used, Hess said. Without it, we're stymied. Divers have been probing the Huron River not far from the Cassidy home on Ohio 13. Yeah, so there's the river right there. Yeah. I think there's couple more articles here. Yeah, discarded shell's the only clue. Or that book, right? A discarded or forgotten shell casing was the only clue Friday in the fatal shooting of a nearby farm family. The only eyewitness to the slaying of Mr. and Mrs. William Cassidy was their daughter, Patricia, who died at the Leota Memorial Hospital 3 days after the shooting. Sheriff Albert Hess believed Patricia was beaten with the same weapon, the family shotgun. See, that's kind of interesting that it was the family shotgun, right? You know, now that we throw that in there. I mean, it's the family shotgun. And then you got Michael, who comes home at 4. Yeah. The body was discovered by Michael Cassidy, 17, who returned home from a part-time job. His parents' bodies were in the bedroom, and his sister was in the adjoining room. Although young Cassidy submitted to a lie detector test, the Erie County Prosecutor's Office said he was not considered a suspect. Yeah. And then on the 11th, although Erie County Sheriff deputies and other investigators are still investigating the deaths of William Cassidy, 41, his wife Ann, 37, and the fatal beating of their 12-year-old daughter, Patricia, there was still nothing new in the murder case Wednesday. Well, thanks, Lee D. Come on, you know, you've been so generous lately. I just think like everybody, did $2, we'd be doing great every night. I mean, I feel bad because it's always the same, a lot of the same people are always helping out, making it so we can do what we're doing. So I really appreciate it. But I always look at it like, man, wouldn't it be cool if people you have 170 people watching, and if everybody sent in $2, you'd have 340, and we'd easily be able to, make the goals. Sort of like a half of a cup of coffee that you would spend every single day going to a store. But it never actually works, because when you do that, it just never works out where all 100 people do it. And if you had 20 people send in 2, then it's only $40, and it's like, jeez, So it's a double-edged sword. I actually think YouTube should have a, they have a membership thing, but it should be like 50 cents to watch a live stream for everybody. Like, who cares, right? 50 cents, man. You used to put that in the phone booth. Hey, Gene, I said the other night, what about the Gene, and thank you very much, Lady. That's 10 cups of coffee there. That other person named Gene Fish. Did you see that? Was that you, or was that a joke? They were Gene Fish like this. Right there, right? See that? Hey, no problem. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I do work really hard. It took a long time to find some of this stuff. That's why it gets sort of like a downer when it's not like that. But well, thanks, the Hawk, or Pock the Hawk, right? The psycho and wacko killer. Well, then I won't say the Hawk right after that. I was wondering what Susie's thing was. That was just sort of like a blank image. Well, thank you guys. Hey, it almost works. Look at that. It's like you're a lover, not a killer. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Yeah, Blazers got smoked. Yeah.
Thanks for all your hard work.
We're always the team that puts somebody back on the right ship. Oh, you killed deer? Alright. Nothing better than a little bit of venison, huh? Oh, Dan Carr, thank you. And James Crawford. And see, that made it for 10 people right there. See, that's... I usually come on, I would say my average time is like 6:30 to 8, something like that. West Coast time. Do you live on, where do you live? Yep, anyways, thanks Dan Carr and James Crawford. Chewbacca?
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
God, that was just amazing. I laughed so much at that one. L101 did that. Alright. No murder clues. Although Erie County Sheriff's deputies and other investigators are still investigating the deaths of William Cassidy, 41, his wife Ann, 37, now it's 37, I thought she was 39, and the fatal beating of their 12-year-old daughter, Patricia. There was still nothing new in the murder case Wednesday. They reported that there are still no clues to the identity of the person who shot the couple and beat the daughter in their rural Milan home. Investigators' efforts to find the murder weapon have been fruitless. I wonder how they know it was the family shotgun then. Well, I guess because they have one and it's missing. But, okay, yeah, I guess that would, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that, though, I guess. Yeah, the first article had a 30. I think she's 39 now. Actually, I do have a family tree here. Hold on a second. Yeah, so this is the daughter. And then the parents are right here. They all died. All four. It's so weird to look at it like that on a tree. This entire thing got wiped out on the same day. They have deaths as April 4th, but it's actually April 1st in here. But there's Ann Hahn. That was her real last name, maiden name. And then William Frederick Cassidy. And let's see. Birth. Patricia was born in 1955. So. Alright. So there was a reporter that did a story in the paper or online in 2018. It's the only thing I could find on it. So I'm going to play it. You can see the link in the description of the video. It has her name, the reporter's name, and so the link to the article is in the description.
Milan, Ohio.
And I did fix it because it only came out of one side. And guess what we would have heard right then, everybody? Hey, I can only hear it out of one ear. I can only hear it out of one ear.
Population 1,300. A small, all-American town. It is best known for being...
Oh, that's funny. There is music, but because I had to... that's crazy. To get the audio coming out of one side, there's no music. That's interesting. They put all the music in a track. I think it's so much better to just blend it together.
The birthplace of Thomas Edison. The man who gave us the light bulb. But to locals... Milan, Ohio is known for its darker past.
A shock. Just couldn't believe it.
See that guy that's talking right there? He actually lives this right here, Robert Rear. I actually tried calling him today. He didn't answer. It would have been a cool, interesting conversation. I'll try him again though.
On April 1st, 1968, a triple murder rocked this small farm town. An entire family slain in one night.
No one was ever charged, no one was ever arrested in the case.
50 years later, the case still ice cold, and still there are few clues. The hope to ever solve it gets dimmer as the years go by.
Yeah, somebody wanted to kill him for some reason, which the motive to this day remains unknown.
The story goes like this. The home sits off State Route 13. It is rural and it is quiet. 41-year-old William and 37-year-old Ann Cassidy were asleep in their bed when a killer shot them point blank with a shotgun. Their 12-year-old daughter Patricia slept in the room next door, found viciously beaten, possibly with that same shotgun. She died in the hospital just days later.
Nobody would deserve this, but especially a 12-year-old girl. Yeah.
Yeah, let me try this again. Hold on. I'm gonna start over. I gotta get some. We gotta have background music for this. I think that'd be a perfect one for the. Let's see. I think Lost. Is it Lost Times? There we go. All right. This will sound good. Hold on a second.
Milan, Ohio.
Oops, hold on.
Population.
I was trying to time it up. It didn't seem to work. Hold on one second.
Milan, Ohio. Population 1,300. A small, all-American town. It is best known for being the birthplace of Thomas Edison, the man who gave us the light bulb. But to locals, Milan, Ohio is known for its darker past.
A shock. Just couldn't believe it.
On April 1st, 1968, a triple murder rocked this small farm town. An entire family slain in one night.
No one was ever charged, no one was ever arrested in the case.
50 years later, the case still ice cold, and still there are few clues. The hope to ever solve it gets dimmer as the years go by.
Yeah, somebody wanted to kill him for some reason, which the motive to this day remains unknown.
The story goes like this. The home sits off State Route 13. It is rural and it is quiet.
See, that's the home, and so you can tell by looking at this. Yeah. See? That's even that same tree right there that's been cut. It's right there.
Like this. The home sits off State Route 13. It is rural and it is quiet. 41-year-old William and 37-year-old Ann Cassidy were asleep in their bed when a killer shot them point blank with a shotgun. Their 12-year-old daughter Patricia slept in the room next door, found viciously beaten, possibly with that same shotgun. She died in the hospital just days later.
Nobody would deserve this, but especially a 12-year-old girl. Yeah. Very frustrating.
The carnage discovered by the couple's son, Michael.
He was 17, senior in high school.
Michael had come home from work around 4 in the morning and found his family. He ran to his girlfriend's house and called the sheriff. Soon, the spotlight shifted to him.
He was cooperative through his attorney. As a matter of fact, he was allowed to take a polygraph by his attorney, and he passed the polygraph.
Police say Michael was never charged, never arrested.
I think we know who done it, but nothing has ever been proved.
Who do you think did it?
The son, Mike.
Yeah.
That is Bob Rear's theory.
See, that's Bob Rear. That's the guy that I showed you where he lived. He believes that the son did it.
He knew the family well, worked on their cars in his auto shop. Rear is
And it's interesting because if you look at him, he's got an auto shop. I think that's what this is. I mean, this is his property. Yeah, I'd say that's probably an auto shop. Man, he's got a lot of cars. That's just a ton. Yeah.
80 years old now, still living down the street from the Cassidy family home. This case, it still haunts him.
There weren't no troublemakers or nothing. Everybody around here liked him.
This guy isn't a detective or anything. He's just a guy that lived there. Just to let you know.
With nothing to pin the murders to Mike, police moved on to another theory.
Wow, look at that B-roll footage.
They thought it possible that the killer was a drifter.
One of the theories was that someone or person or persons had come off.
Oh my God, railroad tracks, Delphi, everybody! Wait a minute, this is 1968. Forget it. Never mind.
Off of the railroad.
Well, I did think he looks like he's 70. Oh, Jesus.
Or come off of the turnpike and had done this. That was never really ruled out.
Nothing was missing from the home. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong.
It was murder, is what it was.
That shotgun never found. Only a single shell casing left behind. But investigators did come across a mystifying piece of evidence. A book left on the living room coffee table. In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. The chilling nonfiction book details the gruesome...
I mean, I wonder if it was there already. Maybe it was something that was being read in the household and triggered this Michael guy, or was it placed there? I mean, they make it sound like it was sort of a clue. Why is it a clue?
That shotgun never found. Only a single shell casing left behind. But investigators did come across a mystifying piece of evidence.
Why is that evidence?
A book left on the living room coffee table. In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. The chilling
Is it evidence because they didn't buy it and it was actually placed there by the killer? That would change the entire... I would think at that point you're almost looking at a psycho serial killer type person. I can't imagine a high school 17-year-old football player, working at a bar to, would even think of something like that.
Fiction book details the gruesome quadruple murder of a family living in rural Kansas.
There is no perfect crime. I think that some people may get away with a crime, but I don't think there is a perfect crime.
The Cassidy family is buried together, side by side by side. Patricia,
right next to
Anne,
David and Sean.
William. 3 lives taken in one unspeakably dark and violent night. Their killer walking free. 50 years passing over Milan.
I guess she was 37.
And police believe someone in this town knows. William, Anne, Patricia. They lay waiting for that someone to speak up.
If we ever get that phone call, that we could move forward and solve this.
Waiting for that someone to shine a light. Michael Cassidy lives out of state, now nearing his 70s. We reached out to him, but through his family, we were told that they were going to, quote, refuse comment on any future publication.
Isn't that crazy? Because he's in his 70s now.
On this subject. He has never spoken publicly about his family's murders. The Erie County Sheriff's Office says they hope someday to bring the family and the community the answers that they need. Homa Bash, News 5.
Yeah, so good story there, Homa Bash. At least somebody talked about it. Yeah, it was, It's interesting that he hasn't ever spoken publicly about it. That's almost something somebody would do if you'd spoken to a lawyer. Why wouldn't you ever talk about your, you come home and your whole family's murdered. You'd want to spend your whole life trying to find who the killer is. Instead, you never said a word about it. I find that strange. Not saying that means he did something. I just think that's odd. Wouldn't any of you guys do that? I mean, like if your family was all absolutely slaughtered like that, and then you you know, let's just say when you're 25 years old or something, you know, whatever it was, it seemed like at some point you would try to figure out who the hell did this. Work with the police and do all that. Get that story out in the public. Start a Facebook page even now. I mean, like you could have done one 10 years ago. But instead, not a damn thing. Yeah, because that's what lawyers tell people to do. Just don't say a damn thing. Never talk about it again. That's what I'm talking about. I think it's very suspicious. Alright, so what do you guys think about all those different cases we talked about? First one was the case of, let me go open that up. Sheila Banks. Remember, she was in her home with her child, and they were both, I think, how was the kid killed in that one? Oh yeah, he was smothered by being pressed down on the, his face into the bed, and then I think she was, wasn't she stabbed to death? You guys remember? They didn't even spell her name right on the website or anything. It's really, it really sucked. Yeah, and they arrested somebody for it. That was the one we weren't sure. She was only 22. She was pretty. She was getting a divorce. Her husband was, you know, it was going to be finalized within like a week or so, a week and a half. Thanks, Shogun. Love.
Thank you, Gray, for all you do on these cases.
Yeah. Well, it's here's what I think is kind of cool about what we do here is we cover these cases that nobody, because they're not the big ones, you know, they're not you know, Chris Watts every day. Now there's this one idiot YouTuber out there that keeps saying that I cover Delphi every day, all the time. Well, all of you guys that are here, you know that I didn't even cover it for months. And then I thought, well, during the anniversary I'd cover it a few times. And then I'm covering it, you know, I've been doing it on Sunday nights call-in shows for people. Okay, because people wanted to kind of keep it going and talking about it. But I think it's more important, or not more important, but just as important to cover all these other cases out there that have just been thrown in the you know, ash heap of society or whatever, you know, or just been cast aside. Nobody's ever going to talk about them again, and you just find them and you discuss them. And some of them are some of the most fascinating, interesting cases that you'll ever see. Unbelievable. You know, Malvina Krutz or Krutz or whatever you say. That one was amazing. 1950 something. I think again in Ohio, right? I mean, Ohio, they had really good coverage because there's a lot of big cities, a lot of newspapers, and back then you could just go walking. One of the ones that I've always thought was really interesting was, you guys remember the one, I think I've got it slated on Nefarious. I'll get back on the Nefarious one of these days. Trust me. That's my other YouTube channel. You can find it in the description. I've got only 2 videos on it, but even those 2 are good. I have the same music that's playing in the background on those. Was it Doris Konechny? Is that the one? I just want to make sure. I don't remember exactly. Guess at the meeting. Yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah, isn't this the one where she was having an affair and the prosecutor came in and they changed the crime scene up? Or the sheriff or something like that? I just don't remember. Let me just see. I don't know if that's this one. Do you guys remember the name of that one? Yeah. County Sheriff. Yeah, look at that. First to arrive at the crime scene were Union County Deputy Sheriff James Hildebrand and Marion Manley, acting chief of police for Creston Police Department. With foul play clearly evident, the two began taking evidentiary crime scene photos. Shortly after photographing the full crime scene, Rolfe and County Sheriff Don Loy arrived on the scene and conducted their own walkthrough. Once those two finished and left the scene, Hildebrand and Manley re-entered the apartment, where they found the crime scene had been tampered with. Hildebrand and Manley asked that the autopsy be conducted, but Loy and Rolfe denied the request. See, there was some kind of connection between Loy and Rolfe in that one. Do you remember that one? That one was just freaking nuts, man. And that one, I don't know. I'll make a Nefarious one out of this one, and you'll be able to watch that one. I guarantee it. That one is one of those ones where there was a cover-up. No doubt about it. It even says that on like the official website. As a matter of fact, I've got it right here. Look at this. This is the... You know that same website that we were just looking... Oh, this is the Iowa cold cases. So this one's in Iowa. I mean, it's pretty long write-up here. And it goes through the whole thing about how they just covered up the murder. It was unreal, really. She was having an affair with different people. Yeah. So I think it's really important to cover some of these really old ones. And not only that, they're really interesting. And nobody ever will talk about them because, you know, one of the decisions people make, like me, is, you know, and I see the difference too. Like the nights I cover Delphi, it seems like everybody's more excited. There's more people that join the channel. There's more super chats. There's more this and there's more that. And some nights when I cover these types of cases, it's really slow at some point. You know, it's not a natural... You know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain, but... And I think that's why people get stuck on covering... They're still doing Watts videos. I mean, if you can believe that. Like, what in the hell could you possibly be talking about at this point in the Chris Watts case? That sucker's been over for so long. Yeah, well, I recommend everybody go back and watch the 2 or 3 part series on Malvina Krutz. I think that's what her name is. Yeah. Malvina Krutz, 1958, January 29th. That one's nuts. And then we also did... do you guys, what was the name of the one that we did that was the 3 guys that were killed? That one was really interesting. I've got Amanda Goodman already recorded. The audio. And then we're going to do... I think we've done Tina Losser already. So Tina Losser and the Leota Camp. I thought that one's really one that's always sticking with me in my head. Isn't that one just bizarre, the Leota Camp one? You guys want to watch that one? I can just play it on the screen here. And then you guys should go check it out. I'll put the link in there. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. Hey, thanks, Helensky. All right, so here is the channel. If you guys want to go subscribe to it right there. It's in the, just put it in the chat there. And I'm going to go, it's actually pretty cool. So I'm going to open that one up right now. I kind of do it differently. I do a regular video format, and then after that I talk about what I noticed, but they're only 20-something minutes long. They're not like the 3-hour shows that I do. So here we go. I'll get rid of my face. Actually, let me go to the middle monitor here. All right, here we go. Da, 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 da. Thank you, Helensky. All right, here we go.
Who killed Leota Camp? On Monday, July 10, 1967, Leota Camp, a 25-year-old mother of 3, was found bound, gagged, and stabbed in her home. Leota and her husband were renting a home at 3213 Fleming Avenue in Des Moines, Iowa. At the time, it was a quiet, peaceful neighborhood with little or no through traffic. Miss Leota Hodges and Raymond Camp of Des Moines, Iowa, were married on January 20th, 1961, at the home of Leota's parents in Unionville, Missouri. It was Leota's 21st birthday. In 1967, the Camps were still living in Des Moines. Raymond Camp, 25, worked as a tabulating equipment operator for the Iowa Employment Security Commission. Leota, as typical for the time, was a stay-at-home mom who filled her days doing household chores and taking care of her 3 small children, Kevin 4, Brenda 3, and 3-month-old Christine. The day had started off as a cool, foggy day in the upper 60s. Raymond Camp left for work as usual. Later that morning, the fog broke, and by mid-morning the temperature was around 80 degrees. Kevin and Brenda went to the backyard to play, along with some other children. Sometime in the late morning, Leota went outside to hang some laundry out to dry and to check on Kevin and Brenda. When she finished hanging the laundry, she went back inside to check on 3-month-old Christine. A little after noon, Kevin and Brenda went inside the house, perhaps to get something to eat. The two noticed Christine on a blanket on the living room floor. They then found their mother on the bed in the front bedroom, lying face down on blood-soaked sheets. There was a knife protruding from Leota's back, which Kevin removed and placed on the bed. After seeing this horrific scene, Kevin and Brenda ran to the home of a neighbor, Mrs. Mary Grow, of 3209 Fleming Street, saying that "Mommy is bleeding." Mrs. Grow then ran to the camp residence and found Leota lying on the bed. She then ran to Mrs. Nellie Edwards' house at 3217 Fleming Street, telling her to come quick. Something terrible has happened to Leota. Mrs. Edwards, after arriving at the camp residence, noticed 3-month-old Christine on the living room floor, lying on a blanket, feeding from a warm bottle. Mrs. Edwards then found Leota lying on a bed, face down, with her hands crossed and tied behind her back with neckties. Her ankles and neck were also bound with neckties. A necktie was stuffed in her mouth as a gag. Mrs. Edwards removed the gag from Leota's mouth and attempted to communicate with her. Leota was apparently still alive, but unfortunately unable to answer any questions. A 6-inch bloody knife was found next to Leota that had been removed from her back earlier by her 4-year-old son, Kevin. Mrs. Grow and her nephew, Max Gosling, called authorities, and a short time later, a fire department rescue squad arrived
and began administering artificial respiration and continued for the entire 7-minute drive from the camp residence to the Polk County Hospital. Unfortunately, these efforts went for naught. She was pronounced dead on arrival. An investigation began immediately. Dr. Leo Luca, Polk County medical examiner, said Mrs. Camp had been stabbed 4 times in the back and that the wounds penetrated her lungs. He continued to say that she died of internal hemorrhaging and there was no evidence she had been raped. Leota was fully dressed in a blouse and skirt. The wounds were inflicted by 2 different knives, which were both from a kitchen knife rack. One knife was found on the bed, which had been pulled from Mrs. Camp's body by Kevin, and another blade presumably found in her body, missing the handle. Dr. Leo Luca said Mrs. Camp's killer was probably a kook or a pervert who got scared and panicked. The search for the killer begins. A neighbor told police that a young man parked his car about a house and a half away from the camp home at about 11 a.m. The man got out of the vehicle and cut diagonally across the camp front yard and entered the home. She thought the car might have been a Ford Mustang with louvers behind the doors. Police believed the model to be a Mustang Fastback from 1965 and 1966. Another neighbor saw him leave the house just before noon. He then walked to the car and drove off. Authorities believe the suspect to be white, about 23 to 30 years of age, stockily built with fair complexion, and about 5'9" to 5'10". He was wearing a brown and white plaid shirt and dark pants. He was also described as handsome with light brown curly hair and a good suntan, which seems to contradict the fair complexion observation by one of the other neighbors. With the help of the neighbors, police were able to create a composite sketch of the suspect. Police Captain Cletus M. Leeming noted that the house showed no signs of forced entry and that the doors were unlocked. Investigators wondered if Mrs. Camp knew the killer based on his description and similar age range. The neighborhood is out of the way and one wouldn't likely drive down the street unless you lived there or were visiting someone specific. The obscene phone call. Leota Camp had received an obscene phone call several weeks before her murder. Raymond Camp told the registered newspaper that his wife Leota had received an anonymous telephone call about 2 to 3 weeks prior to her death. He said that Leota was feeding their 3-month-old child Christine at the time of the phone call. She put the baby down as the phone rang. She answered, and a man said, "Where you been?" It was a strange tone of voice. Mrs. Camp told the caller that she was feeding her baby, and the caller replied, "I thought maybe you were blank." Raymond wouldn't say the word that was used over the phone, but that it was an obscene expression. Leota was in shock. She hung up the phone and called Raymond at work to explain what happened. The caller never called again. Raymond revealed that their phone number was not listed in the phone book. Police looked into about 450 dark blue or black Ford Mustang Fastbacks with louvers behind the doors that led to no suspects. A $2,500 reward was offered by Raymond Camp, but did not lead to an arrest or a suspect. Captain Cletus Leeming said they have received over 1,000 leads and more than 600 people have been questioned, but the evidence in the case is very slim. He also said that most murders are committed by someone closely associated with the victim, and that in this case it doesn't appear to be true. The case went cold and still remains unsolved today. Anyone with information about the Leota Camp unsolved murder case is asked to contact the Des Moines Police Department at 515-283-5600.
515-646-4864 or the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation at 515-725-6010 or email at dci.info@dps.state.ia.us. And here is my take on the case. I think the suspect parked his car right there, and then he walked across the camp resident yard there, then up the steps. Was he let into the house by Leota? We don't know. But the police determined that the doors were unlocked. Did he go into the house when Leota was already in the house? Or was she in the backyard hanging up laundry because it's right around that same time? And then she goes back into the house. Did she surprise him? Or had she gone back into the house, then he was in the house? We don't have the exact time that she was hanging the laundry, okay? Now, when you look at the street view shot right here, this is the front bedroom right here. This right here is the front door. And if you look at this picture, this is from Zillow. This is the front door right there. And let's see. If you go back, I think it's this one right here. Yeah, so now this is looking, as you're entering the front door, you're looking back this direction. Now this right here is the back bedroom. And then if you could go around this corner right here, there is another room. And that is what you see right here. That's what this window is. And you can actually see this house and these steps right there in that bedroom. And you can see that right here. You can actually see the sort of the rails to go up to the steps on this yard right here. See that? On this house. Okay, so that's the front bedroom. So that is where Leota's body was found, where she was stabbed 4 times in the back, in the lungs. The knife was found next to her, but the knife was actually originally in her back because their child, Kevin, is who removed the knife. And so when they mentioned that they found the knife next to her, it was because Kevin took it out. And then they mentioned that they found a second knife that was used, but they weren't able to find the handle of the knife. Okay, so that means that I believe it means that they found that blade inside of her, and that might be why he had to go use another knife, because it broke off. Okay, he wasn't finished yet. Now, was he there to sexually assault her and maybe just realized that there was kids outside and then just killed her so she couldn't identify him? We don't know the answer to that question. There's a lot of unknown. There's no answers to a lot of questions, but you can speculate. He went there without any weapons or the items that bound her. He used ties from the house, and then he used the knives from the kitchen block. So that means he wasn't prepared physically with items to kill her. So was it something where he was going to go over there and try to smooth talk her, but then she totally rejected him, and then he decided to bind her up and he was going to sexually assault her, and then he saw that there was kids outside, and then he killed her and left because maybe he knew her or she knew him. Something like that. There's a whole bunch of options that you can go with. Or he went in not bringing his own items and knowing that he would just use any items that were found around the house, much like James D'Angelo in the East Area Rapist case and Golden State Killer. I think the best bet of identifying who the killer is at this point would be to check the knife that was inside of her, because I don't know if it would have been all the way in. It seems like it would have hit bone and the handle broke, and if that's true, the killer could have easily cut his own finger, and there might be blood that was on her clothing, since she was fully clothed at the time, could actually be from the killer. There might be a secondary sample of DNA of an unknown male
on her, in blood on her clothing. I'd also check the other knife, even though Kevin touched it, the killer had touched it. If they didn't wear gloves, it's possible that they left some DNA on that knife as well, because if they'd cut their finger, they used that knife second. The one that was still sticking in her back, I think, is obviously the second knife used, and if he did cut his hand on the first knife, there would be blood on the second one. Okay, he had to get a second knife because the first one broke. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. So I would test that as well, and any of her clothing. I mean, I know this is way back in 1967, but if they stored it properly, which the odds aren't great since it was 1967, they could have a DNA profile of the killer. The suspect seems like he should have been relatively easy to find at the time, given that car that he was driving, the black 65 or 66 Mustang with louvers in the back. I guess they referred to it as a fastback. They did check all that they could find, and it never led to anybody, but I wonder if they checked the children of somebody who owned that. I mean, because he was pretty young. He could have been between, they said, 23 and 30, so maybe there was like a 45-year-old father that owned that, and he was using it. Also, the phone call was interesting. It was sexual in nature. It was a call that came in when their phone number is not in the phone book, according to Raymond. Now, did Leota give her number out to somebody and didn't tell her husband about that? That's a possibility. The age range is within her age range, and it could be somebody that she gave the number to. He went over to the house, she rejected him, and then he was going to sexually assault her by tying her up and gagging her so she couldn't make any sounds. Then noticed that there were kids out in the backyard and ended up killing her to keep her quiet, and then casually leaves the house, gets in his car, and drives off again. It seems to me that the phone call is related. It seems like the odds of somebody randomly calling a number that's not in a phone book and making a strange phone call using a strange voice, sexual in nature, and then she dies 3 weeks later in her home. I just think that there's something associated with that. They obviously weren't able to track the phone call back to a particular location. If the call was made from a phone booth, then you know almost certainly that this is the person who killed her. If it was made just from a random residence and they checked it out, I know there's some kids around, they were just dialing random numbers, then obviously at that point it's not. But there was no mention that they were able to track down the phone call. Now, there was some interesting information in some articles online. There was an individual named Carol Wetherick. She lived a few houses away from the camps, and she left the house, this neighbor, left the house to go buy a new car, right around that time. And then she says she believes that the killing was meant for her. She just wasn't home. She didn't really say why she believed that. She thinks she believes, and there goes my dog, she believes that there was a hitman sent for her, and the hitman killed Leota by mistake. There's also a serial criminal named James Mitchell de Bartleben, who a lot of people think may have been the killer as well. You guys can look him up online. It's James Mitchell, and then DeBartleben. De Bartleben. All right, and they think that maybe he was associated with the killing. All right, so those are my general thoughts. I'm sure I have other ones that I've thought about, but I'm not thinking of them right at the moment. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed my first video on the Nefarious channel. I know a lot of people like to watch the shorter videos and get a recap of the case instead of my 3-hour shows where we actually look into the case together and try to figure things out. All right, so thank you very much, and look forward to the next videos that are coming out. And make sure that you hit the subscribe button before you leave, and also if
Share,
you
like, and
aren't familiar,
subscribe.
check out Gray Hughes Investigates, where I do have those 3-hour shows if you don't mind hanging out and trying to figure out cases with a bunch of people. we call each other the Freak Family. All right, because we're freaks. We're crime freaks. All right, have a good one. Oh, and one more thing. Be safe out there. All right. What do you guys think? Wasn't too bad, right? So anyways, you guys should go subscribe to that channel. Here's the link again if you haven't gone over there yet. There it is. Go check it out. I'm going to be adding more to that pretty soon. I've already got 3 different scripts read, but I think I'm going to do it differently where it's just sort of an overhead map and it moves around. It's really the story being told that's important. And then I'm going to go to the street view whenever I can. Okay? So I think that's how I'll do it. Just because I think the thing when I do mine, the way I do it is everybody sort of feels like they've been there. Right? So I got to keep that going, but I'm going to be telling the story in the scripted way. There might even be somewhere I don't really come back and analyze it. It might just be the video by itself. But that's it. All right, everybody? So I think I am done for the evening. We are now at 3 hours and 6 minutes. The time always seems to fly by pretty quick. What's going on, Blue? What's going on, buddy? Yeah, thanks. But see, that case that we just went over is exactly one of the ones I'm talking about. Very interesting, just absolutely crazy little case where a lady's just at home. Her kids are playing in the backyard. She goes back, and she has a small baby in the house. She goes inside, or goes outside to hang the laundry, then goes back inside, maybe to feed the child. And then just moments later, the kids come in, and she's been murdered. Probably wasn't moments later, because she was completely bound and gagged. And she was stabbed. And one of the blades broke off. The other one was sticking in her back. The one son took the blade out of the back, then ran over to a neighbor's house. They went back over, and you could see that the youngest daughter was laying on the floor feeding from a bottle. And, you know, all there is they saw a guy with a Mustang stop, walk across the lawn, go into the house, basically went in there and killed her, then left and drove away. It's just a crazy story. Makes no sense at all. I mean, that's probably one of the murder cases that makes the least sense of anything that I've ever seen. Just absolutely bizarre, out of nowhere, just kill. Why does that puzzle you? It doesn't puzzle me at all. She had just given the bottle to the baby to eat from, and then the guy came in and killed her. And it makes total sense. So that's that one to me is just absolutely wild, you know. And the husband had nothing to do with it. I mean, you could tell he was devastated, and, you know, put a lot of money for, I mean, like, I think he put like $5,000 up back in '67. That's like a ridiculous amount of money. So, all right, everybody, I will see you guys tomorrow. Let me put some happier music on. get back to this one. That's more investigative. So. Yep, see you guys later. Yeah, one of those might make a pretty good Nefarious. Which one of those three? Do you think the middle one or the last one? Probably both of those would be pretty decent Nefarious videos, right? The middle one and the last one. The middle one you could do. I could do the girl that was killed in Cincinnati. That could be like a 7 or 8 minute long one. For sure. Yeah, the last one and I think both of those would be pretty good. Maybe I'll slide those into the folder. And what's cool is when you guys watch it, you'll already know it. Now we're back in one of those modes where YouTube has me in a weird place where there's nobody subscribing anymore. Like I remember it was like 2,000 subscribers 2 months in a row. Now it's down to like, some days it actually goes backwards. You know, I don't know where that comes from. Hey, by the way, did you guys see that attack on the Capitol today? You know, the car that broke through the barrier? Did you guys see that? I know it probably didn't make the news because it didn't fit the narrative that the media would have wanted. They would have wanted it to be a guy, like a white person that's a Trump supporter. Then it would have been a great story for them. CNN and MSNBC would have just kept pushing it over and over and over and over and over again. But it turns out it was a black man who supports Louis Farrakhan, who slammed through a barricade and killed an officer, and another one's in the hospital. I don't know how he's doing. But one officer died, right? So then it became a less of a story for CNN and MSNBC because it didn't fit the narrative that they wanted to put out there. See, here's what I hate the most, everybody. I don't care what side you're on. Everybody should hate hypocrisy. When you see it's disgusting, everybody. Hypocrisy is what divides people. If you were always honest and say the same thing no matter what side you're on, given a similar situation, people respect that shit. But when you go out there and you start, this isn't a big deal. Because let me just tell you, everyone in here, regardless of what politics you're on, you know for sure that if that guy was a Trump supporter who bashed through that gate, it would be in the news for the next week and a half, every single second of every day on CNN, MSNBC, and all the other channels, right? So let's just all admit that that's a reality. But because this person didn't fit that, it'll just be sort of something, an update here and there. It will not be on the news on CNN and MSNBC at all. And see, that's why I get so disgusted by it. And I hope everybody sort of feels that same way. If you don't, you should. Because hypocrisy is what is I think it's what destroys a society, really. It's sick. You know, sick. All right? Not to get on my soapbox there for a minute, but I just noticed that today. You know, they were really into it. Really into it. Oh, wait a minute. That guy doesn't look like... Okay, forget it. Yeah, it happens all the time. It really does. That's why I'm bringing it up. This whole time, this last 4 years, it's been the most apocryphal thing I've ever seen. I mean, you had nightly riots for an entire year, basically, with cities being burned to the ground and people getting murdered. But it wasn't covered by certain stations ever because it didn't fit the overall story that they wanted to sell. And so when you have stuff like that, you got to condemn violence no matter what side you're on. All the time, every single time. Yeah, it's been, yeah. So, anyways, all right, everybody. Thank you very much. I got the, let's see, I want to thank everybody right here. Let me open this up. I'm gonna go see if I can find some more stories like that. You know, because those were just ones that I wasn't even gonna look at because there was nothing in them. But I go, you know what? Let me just look these up in the paper. And it was, they were unbelievable. Even the one that had nothing was interesting. You know, the one about, you know, the lady in her house with her kid. I mean, that could have been an interesting, they should have kept covering it, but I have a feeling, I think she was a black woman, and the media back then was horrendous, and still is in some ways, to minorities. They really, you know, well, you guys have been here. We've covered this stuff. It's disgusting, okay? They'll have like one day of coverage on something. Probably the best covered one, the case that was covered the best of a black woman or a black person at all was the Beidelman case. That's the next video that I'm working on Nefarious. That one was really, man. You guys remember the Beidelman case? Where she was at her apartment, her husband just got laid off. They were just this great couple. She said, hey, why don't you go ride your motorcycle with your friend today? So they went over there, dropped him off. Then they went and visited all their family members and so forth. And then at the very end, she's like, well, I'm going to go to the store. It was a little bit late. And then the next day they find her body in a creek and her son was killed too. And it's just the craziest thing. Somebody obviously abducted her in this little small time frame, and then there was actually drove through this barrier up in this park somewhere. It's a really crazy story, and it's all mapped out and everything. So we'll be doing that one coming up. Yeah, it was. That was such a really cool couple. You know, they only have a picture of the son and the mom, but yeah. Anyways.
All right. Thank you to LM, One Sly Angel, Miss Marple, Lee D, LM as in Element Open, Zozo, Jen H, Shelley Wagner, Jamie Harold, Susanna Matt Gillipadrick, Rita Schaefer, Lee D, Miss Sarah Beth Colegrass, Fiber Sleuth, Zozo, Lee D again, Boom, Gene Fish, Lori Fisher, Rhea Mazzarone, Carolina Girl, The Hawk, No Pock, Susie Heath, Dan Carr, James Crawford, Shogun Love, Helsinki 1978, Kit Kat, Billy Bully Blue. He needed the money.
What do you mean he needed the money?
I don't want to explain it. Never mind.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys all showing up tonight. We just got to keep on trucking through the months here. MUNTS. All right. So, anyways, I really appreciate it, and we will see you guys tomorrow. And make sure you wash your hands, wear a mask. You know, I think if you wash your hands, wear a mask, you've been vaccinated. you know, the social distancing is sort of this weird thing that they have now. I don't know if you can fly an airplane. I'm not sure why you can't. You know, but anyways, I think if you wear a mask, wash your hands, get the vaccine when it becomes available for you, that'd be great. I guess the vaccine even works on the variant, the African B1. It's just not quite as good. But you know what they're doing in Europe, everybody? The UK, exactly what I said to do from the beginning. And what was that? They're giving everybody the first shot. And then, even up to 3 months later, they'll give them the second one. The booster. But the first one provides really good protection anyways. So that's what I said they should have been doing, is get the first shot into as many people's arms as possible. And then put the second one in on another schedule at a different time. Because the first shot's more effective than the flu shot is. Hey, how was the Pfizer one? I'm getting a Pfizer one on Sunday. What does "za" mean, Travis? What does that mean, Travis? Help us out. I don't speak that language, whatever that is. Yeah, just a sore arm. Okay. The second one, though, might make you feel a little bit sick, but some people don't feel that way. Some do. All right, so a lot of you are getting the Pfizer one. All right, cool. I'll be just getting my first one a couple days from now. Amazing, once you're eligible, how many people's text messages they send you. It's like 2 seconds, like ding, 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 ding. You know, every beep on your phone's another one. Well, I don't know, but I think they should have done that in the United States. Just give everybody, you know, have all these people are fully vaccinated. If you have 50 million people that are fully vaccinated, you could have vaccinated 100 million people and had them very well protected, just not uberly, you know, like it would have been great. Okay? I don't understand why they didn't do that. It makes way more sense to me. And then everybody gets the booster as well. So then you have time. So here's the thing. If you get everybody the shot in the arm first, then you have time to ramp up production of the booster, which is really the same dose. It's just the second one really ramps it up again. Then you have time to create that, and then you just give it to people at a quicker rate the second time. And you're still, you know, you give them to them at different dates, so then you get 3 months later, you start giving everybody the booster shots. I don't know. It just makes way more sense to me. I don't understand what the logic was to do it the way they did it. Yeah, Moderna and Pfizer seem to be the best ones, apparently. You know, there's an AstraZeneca, and then there's also a Johnson & Johnson, who just had that weird, crazy ass. That was a pretty decent one, but I mean, how do you trust taking a shot from them again after what they did? It's like ridiculous. See, here's the thing, that the error that Johnson & Johnson made, that's when you wanted Trump as president again. Because he would have blasted those people into oblivion. I know, exactly, DSK, that's exactly right. The first dose is 80%. That's exactly what my wife said, too. And my brother was like, oh, no, it's not. It's like 50. No, it's not. No, it's 80%, which is way better than the flu shot. And that's why they should have given that to every single buddy, the first shot, then worry about the second one later. And thanks, Jen H. Yeah, you and Mary Poppins up there helped me out, So thank you. That's what I wish, is that he was president when they screwed up, man. He would have got in there and just lambasted them into oblivion. And it should be that way. It shouldn't be, oh, well, we'll try to help them do it better the next time. Yep, first shot for everybody. Yeah, the Johnson & Johnson one, it was so amazingly weird. 15 million doses all batched together with the wrong sort of formula from some other vaccine. Like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing here? Man. Woo! Man, that company should never, whatever their subcontractor was, they should never be able to produce another vaccine forever. They should have to sell their company to somebody responsible who loads it up with quality people. That is just, wow. Man, just shut them down at that point. How many people are going to die? Let me ask you this. How many people might die because they weren't able to get those 15 million shots quick enough? There is a percentage. There might even be, 1,000 people that die or more because 15 million shots didn't make it into somebody's arm. It's crazy. I mean, nobody likes getting shots, right? Nobody goes, "Yay! I can't wait!" I'm excited to get mine because I want to get to a point where I feel like I can go outside and not really care that much. And what I think will be cool is if everybody gets the shot. You want everybody to get it because you want bodies to fight and kill the virus so that it doesn't mutate around. So it's going to be the people who didn't get the shot that will get it, and the virus will still be able to go out there and sort of mutate and change around and things like that. I just want to get rid of it. Don't you guys? I don't want other mutations and things coming around. Now, it might end up being like the flu shots where every year there's another strain and we're aware of it and they kind of come in and they give you I guess it would be like a booster shot every year of some sort that would cover a couple strains. But man, this is so weird. What a strange. Still, we're about a year in, but what's amazing though, it's only been a year, and we have, think how crazy that is. I mean, this is about the time where everything, about 2 weeks ago last year, was when everything was just being shut down. And not only, we're just a year in, but we've got so many people are vaccinated already. You got to admit, that's nutty. When they were saying, well, it's going to be like 5 years. Here's the thing, everybody. This is the truth, but you're not going to hear. If the last president wasn't in there, we wouldn't have a vaccine right now. And the reason is because he actually cut all of the regulations and the red tape bullshit that they had and gave them the ability to get stuff done as quick as possible. Okay? And so once it got done, then they did the trials. They actually had the vaccine within days. Did you know that? The days of it being released, they had it. Then they started doing the trials. Boom, 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 boom. And it got done, and it got approved, and it's safe, and it works. We would still right now be in the research phase because of the way certain people love regulations. Okay? That's how crap doesn't get done. Now, of course you don't, there's certain regulations that are just a waste of time, right? You guys all know that. Now, the other parts, they did do the phase 1, 2, 3, the trials, but they sped them up. They just kind of, boom, got through that. Looked safe, boom, boom, boom. You've got to do stuff like that when you're in such a horrific situation. Yeah, he deserves all the credit for all the vaccines and actually ramping up the pace to 1 million doses a day. Now it's like 2 or 3 at this point, but before he left, it was at 1 million a day, which is pretty damn good. So all the vaccines were created. I wonder how they're going to spin it to where he won't get any credit, because that always happens, I'll let you know. All right, cool. Well, I hope you guys you're able to get your vaccines quickly. But anyways, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. Hope that wasn't too political for you. I think it's just truth that I was just speaking there. You know, even if you're on the other side, what I just said was true. It's not an opinion. It's just literally the way it is. Like I was saying about the person who rammed through the Capitol building today. What I said earlier about that, 100% accurate. It's not an opinion. So, there you go. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person.
What?
That is
a crime dissector, the projector,
certified human lie detector.
I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna stretch you. If you try and play me like an old projector,
crime sector is my nectar.
The Professor Green is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, free collector, and I'm always gonna be a protector. Full deflector, interceptor, and I'll meet a spectre with a vector
on his spectre. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody, talk to you.
All right, well, hey, thank you. Thanks, Gray. That was a really interesting show. What did you think, John Boy?
Well, when do you care what I think? You never ask me what I think.
Well, I am today. I'm starting something new. What did you think?
Well, I thought it was...
Oh, I don't really care what you have to say, John Boy. I was just joking with you, okay? Good night, John Boy.
Gosh, Mary Lou, you're so mean to me.
See? I'm just getting you back for all those times that you were mean to me. Okay?
Gosh, you're so mean to me, Mary Lou.
Okay, gee, I'm sorry, John Boy. I didn't mean to make you feel bad.
Oh, God, what a bunch of weirdos. Here we go. We've got the... There we go. And have a great weekend, everybody. Don't you think, like, Mary Lou is just, like, she's a troll, sort of? A little bit. Just a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm a crime dissector, projector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya, on a stretcher. Even crime blaming like an old projector. Crime collector, freak collector, and I'm always gonna be a protector, full deflector, interceptor, and I mean I'm gonna fight that with a vector. When I'm in the mood, I sprinkle troll on my food, but I don't eat it. I chew it up and spit it out and repeat it. It's not a treat. The troll is beat. Just one of the ways that I defeat it. Staying in my groove. When there's a troll on the move, just takes a second to remove. Cause every time I conclude, the troll is gonna lose. Nice try, lizard eye. I see you creeping on the sly. Why you think you so fly when you're such a whiny cry? Nice try, lizard eye. I see you creeping on the sly. It's time to say goodbye. was right. Hey, look at that! Emily likes me! Emily Flotilla likes me! See, she said Team Mary Lou!
Well, what about me? How come nobody says Team John Boy? Gee.
Nobody likes you, John Boy. Nice try, was right. I see you creeping on the sly. Why you think you so fly? Such a whiny cry, battle me, you're gonna fry. Trying to send you out to mummify. Jack and Jill went up the hill, each with a buck and a quarter. Jill came down with $2.50. Ooh! Hello? Hello? Long spider sat down beside us and said, hey, what's in the bowl, biatch? Well, cowboy, gonna steal horse and ride. I walk the streets, the troll's beats. Alright everybody, thank you very much. See you guys later. Hello?
Good night, everybody. Be safe out there.